Hello, I am Purple Foundation, and this is my speedrun tutorial for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie on original Xbox, Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, GameCube, and PlayStation 3. Before we begin, there are many things I want to go over. Firstly, there will be timestamps in the description and possibly on the screen that you can click to whenever you want, so if you want to skip this part, you can. Secondly, I want to go over the version differences. So, for this game, the original Xbox version is the fastest because it has faster driving in the paddy wagon. It's at least 15 seconds faster than Xbox 360. However, Xbox 360 does have slightly faster loads. So this is the order from fastest console to slowest console. Original Xbox, Xbox 360, GameCube, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2. There is about a 3 to 4 minute difference between GameCube and Xbox, so just keep that in mind when you're learning this game. The best way to play this game probably is on Xbox 360, however OG is still the fastest. I will be playing on the Xbox 360 version, which is completely viable for high level gameplay. The route I'm going to show today can be done on any version, but it might possibly be slower on GameCube and PlayStation. I'm not completely sure on that. But if you are considering getting serious with this game anyway, then I would just recommend learning it on GameCube if that's the only version you have, or PlayStation. So basically, you are going to want to use this route no matter what. There will also be splits that you can download. They will be in the description and on the speedrun.com page. You can split wherever you want, but most people split on the final grab of a token within the level. You can split in the same way as Battle for Bikini Bottom, where as soon as you load to a different location, you split. You can do that if you want, however, most people do split on the tokens. Also, it's sometimes good to make notes before doing your first run that you can just look over. You don't have to do it though, I never do it, but yeah, it's just something that I wanted to point out. Before starting the run, there is also a couple other things you want to do. Every time you reset the console, the vibrate mode is going to be on. You're probably going to want to turn it off just because it's annoying. Secondly, when you start a new game, you're going to want to select no. There is a consistent way to accidentally crash your Xbox. If you see a certain text box referring to Nitros and Sandwich Driving 101, that means that you're going to have to reset the console if you see that text box, because when you get there a second time, the game's not going to know what to do and it's going to crash. This is referred to as sandwich crash, so yeah, that's what it means if you ever hear anyone say it. I'm not sure if that happens for all versions, but I know for a fact that it happens on the Xbox versions. So with everything out of the way, we can begin the run. This segment is about 1 minute and 6 seconds long optimally, or 1 minute and 5 seconds. When you start, you just want to spam A to get through the cutscene. And basically just take the path that I'm using. It's very basic level, apart from like the tricks that you need to use. This is the first trick coming up. It's very basic, but it only saves a second, so don't feel like you have to do it. This flower can actually be stood on, but it is kind of precise. So you want to stand about by here, and then you want to jump around it like this and spin and then double jump. You're going to catch an invisible ledge by here, and then you'll be able to keep jumping. So I'll just show it again. For this part, you're only going to want to spam A as soon as you see this cutscene. When the black bars are shown, don't press A, because if you press A during this cutscene by here, you will save frames, but you'll lose frames if you just spam A immediately. For optimal movement on this part, you just want to take the path like this. And now this is slide skip. So slide skip, all it does is just skip a little section by here. I'll just show it real quick. It skips having to press the button and waiting for a cutscene. So the way you're going to want to set this up, you're going to kind of want to align the camera like this and just slide into this rock. Now, SpongeBob will keep storing momentum when he's like this. Think of this as like the minimalist slide skip in Battle for Bikini Bottom. And he'll keep storing momentum for like 5 seconds. So the longer you wait, the more momentum you're going to get until a certain cap. After you've held into the rock for long enough, you want to slightly move to the left. And then you're going to want to space your jumps out like this. And then you should be able to skip this. This only saves about like 8 to 10 seconds, I think. But it's still pretty fast, so I would recommend doing it on your first run, but if you miss it, then there's no point in resetting. Optimally, you're only going to want to be on that rock for about half a second. Like that. Whichever way, you still end up by here, and then this is where the second skip comes up. So these boxes by here, you're going to only want to break a certain amount of them. You're only going to want to break these. Don't break these two. They're very important, and if you break them, then you can't do the skip. But if you've broken it the way that I have, then you're going to want to jump onto this, and then you're going to want to jump around like this, there is an invisible platform by here. You're going to want to jump up to about by here, and then this is where Canyon Skip comes up. Canyon Skip saves about 12 seconds, but it isn't required, obviously, for a top time. So first I'm going to demonstrate this trick, and then I'll go into detail on how it actually works. So this is what it looks like when it's done correctly. Okay, and that skips this entire section where you hit the buttons, wait for the cutscene to end, and then you wall jump by here. So I'll show you how to do it now. So you're going to want to line it up about by here, and slightly before you hit the edge, you're going to want to spin. This gives you a little longer to get to the other side. It gives you a bit more duration, and it's the only way that this trick's possible. If you successfully do the spin, you're going to want to time your jumps pretty well, and then shortly after the second jump, you're going to want to spin. If you spin too early, you won't get any extra length to get to the other side, and if you spin too late, you'll only get a single jump rather than the double jump, and you'll also miss the trick. About by here is where you're going to spin. You see this where it gets slightly darker, this purple line? That's about where you're going to spin. You can hug the wall as well if that makes it easier for you. I don't even recommend doing this trick on your first run, but it is something that you should probably practice. But if you do want to do it on your first run, then that's completely fine. It's just if you miss it, then there's no point in resetting. See, that's what happens when you do it too late. So I'm going to show it one more time. You can play it in slow-mo if that helps you. When you do finally get up here, you're going to hit the rock and then turn your camera about this way. If you're playing on GameCube and PS2 or PS3, then it's going to lag a lot by here when this platform breaks. So for those consoles, you're going to want to hold the camera down like this. This is where the level would end because you just hit the trampoline to get to the token, but there is something I want to describe first. It's called token 1 frame. Basically, whenever you get within the token's hitbox, you have a single frame to press start, and if you do it successfully, the counter will increase, so it would say that I have 1 before I actually touch the token. This is pretty precise, and it only matters when you have like a 134 or lower, but it is something that you should keep in mind, because even though I don't recommend going for them, if you do go for it, it's just important to know how it works. Sometimes if you press start around the token and the counter doesn't increase, you can still actually get the token, but that's a 2 frame. It does make the trick easier, but if you miss it and then re-warp to somewhere, then you're going to lose a significant amount of time because you'd have to get the token again because you didn't actually grab it. I'm the only runner who actually risks it, so just don't even bother going for it if the counter doesn't increase. I'm going to try and go for it now. Okay, I didn't get it. I pressed start too late, but that's fine. If you don't get it, then you just end the level normally, and that's where you would usually split. And then you just spam A to get through the cutscene. Okay, so this is where the next trick comes up. It's called balcony skip. Literally all you do is just jump up to there and just skip this entire section going around, but it actually is harder than you think. I kind of set it up like this, where I'm close to the edge, and I line Patrick's head up with one of the poles to the left, and then you're going to want to walk off a tiny bit and then do a double jump. Like that. And then when you get stuck, you're going to want to move back a little bit, because otherwise you'll get a ledge grab. But if you move back a little bit and then go forward immediately after, you'll skip the ledge grab. If you miss it, this is the way that I back it up. You're going to want to line up Patrick with that pole by here. It is kind of difficult to do, but if you miss it, it only loses like 3 seconds. See, I didn't space out my jumps properly then. You can miss this a lot of times though before it actually matters that much. However, keep in mind that if you're looking to get Chocolate Creek first try, then there is a cycle. But when you do get up here, you can just walk across here and activate the cutscene. And now this is where the most notorious trick comes up for this game. This is known as Creek Skip, and this highly discourages people from running the game, unfortunately. There is a good way to line this up. You kind of want to line Patrick's head up with like the edge by here. But depending on where you stand will depend on like where you spin. So it's kind of like Canyon Skip. I'll try and get it now. See, I spun for too long. And if you have 1 health, then that means you can't do the next trick. So if you do have 1 health, then you're just going to want to drown yourself and do it again. That time I did get it. Like I said, where you spin heavily varies, like what kind of angle you can have. There isn't a very good way to even explain it. Watch how other people do it and see if you can copy it. That time was way too early, I think. Oh, never mind. Okay. So sometimes you might need to spin earlier than you think. But yeah, basically, don't be surprised if you lose like a few minutes to that on your first run. It is ridiculously hard. But then even right after that, you have to do this other trick, and I'm going to explain how to do this, because there is an alternative to this ridiculous trick that's actually really... So when you get here, you're going to want to walk to by here, because otherwise, if you just stand by here and jump into the chocolate, you'll actually just drown. So that's really bad. So you're going to want to walk by here, so then you get the checkpoint. And you're going to want to line Patrick's foot up with the stripe going downwards underneath him, if you can see. And then when you do, you're going to want to hold left as far as you can. And then when you get to about by here, you're going to like either single jump, that's what I do, or you can double jump. And then you're going to hit the chocolate. And then you're going to want to keep holding left. And then you're going to spam A, or you can time it until you land up to this button. Okay, so I'll try and do it now. Okay, so that time I got it. If you jump too early, you'll land by here before landing on the chocolate. That's still okay because you'll still retain the momentum and then you can still make the trick. But yeah, you're going to want to jump like by here. But yeah, like I said, you're going to want to keep holding left while you do it. You should just about land by here. Again, this comes naturally over time. Don't be surprised if you miss it a lot at first. I know this does highly discourage players from learning the game, but trust me, it isn't that bad. Okay, so what you're going to want to do now is hit all of the buttons, and then that'll place you about down there, and then this door will open. This is the method that most people use to hit all of the buttons in one go. You're going to want to jump to by here, and then you're going to want to move to the right briefly until you can see that you hit both of the buttons. And then very, very shortly after you hit the first, you're going to want to drop down and hit the other two. Obviously, when you get to a higher skill level, you're going to want to do it very quickly. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to show how to do it easily. So basically, you're going to want to inch up to the end of this platform by here until you can get pretty much as far as you can, and then see if you can hit both of the buttons, and then do this. It is kind of precise still, but yeah, I just wanted to show that you can do that. So it'll spawn you about by here. When you walk back a bit, you can unlock the task for the level, and a text box will come up showing that you have unlocked the task. This is important if you're going for the token 1 frame. If you aren't going for the token 1 frame, don't walk backwards, because it doesn't matter. But if you are going for it, you're going to want to walk back a bit and then walk forward. It only loses like half a second. Basically, you're just going to want to follow this path. And now this is where the marshmallows spawn. If you die during this section, you have to wait for the marshmallows to come all the way back by here, and it loses like 40 seconds. But basically, just follow whatever path that you can see, because it is based on a cycle. It is an RNG. We're trying to avoid these things at all costs, basically, because they will probably push you into the chocolate and kill you. I had a very nice path for you just then. If it doesn't look like you'll make it, just wait for the cylinder to get out of your path and then follow the river. This is easier with cartwheel, however we don't have cartwheel yet. So anyway, you're going to want to grab this token. I didn't get the 1 frame. That's fine. There is a way to get cartwheel early. If you don't care about getting cartwheel early, then after getting the token, you're just going to want to walk back to Chocolate Creek. So basically, if you don't want to do Chocolate Creek right now, just keep walking along this path. You're going to want to hit this thing on the way because it gives you 50 manlies. And the manlies actually do matter a lot in this route that we're doing, because it saves like 50 seconds over the other route, but the manly counter matters a lot. When I say manlies, I'm referring to manliness points, by the way. But basically, you're going to want to follow along this path. When you get to this point, hold the stick neutral when you activate the cutscene, because a thing can happen called Mindy Stay. Mindy Stay is when you're locked in place when talking to Mindy for a few seconds. You can't die from it, it only loses a few seconds, but it's pretty dumb. The most consistent way to avoid it is to not hold any direction on the analog stick during the cutscene. So this is what I'm referring to. You're just going to want to spam the exit button. That time I didn't get Mindy Stay. But if you do get Mindy Stay, that's okay, it only loses a few seconds. Okay, so now we have Cartwheel. But if you skip Chocolate Creek, you won't have enough tokens to do it. But now this is where the next part comes up. So you're just going to want to go along this path, no matter which route you're doing. And now there are 2 ways to get up to this platform to get the token. You can either take the trampoline. That time I didn't get the 1 frame either. Like I said, you probably shouldn't worry about the 1 frames, I'm just showing you where you can get the 1 frame tokens. In some places it's not even worth doing because you'd have to sit through an extra load or something. But that's the easiest way to do it, and you get manliness points by doing it. But this is the alternative way to do it. You stand by here and you stand towards the edge, and then you double jump and get to this lamp, right? And then you carefully make your way across here. You jump by here, and then you're going to want to jump in the middle of the trampoline, so then you're centered to hit the token. That path only saves like a second, but people usually find it pretty easy, so just do whatever works for you. At this point, if you didn't do Chocolate Creek, you will have 2 tokens instead of 3, in which case you warp back to announce a bounce, and then you get the cartwheel for Mindy. So, if you did Chocolate Creek, you're going to want to warp back to the first token, right? But if you didn't do Chocolate Creek, you're going to warp to the 3rd token. Keep in mind that this method does lose about 30 seconds, but for your first run, that doesn't really matter that much. But basically, the reason why this is so important is literally just because you can cartwheel off the edge and double jump. This makes the method extremely easy, and then all you have to worry about is this part by here. But after you're done with Chocolate Creek, or after you're done with Announce a Bounce, warp back to the first token. Warping here will put you in this location, and now what you're going to want to do is get to the token behind that wall. You might be wondering how you do it, but I'll show you now. There are 2 ways to get up to this platform by here, this balcony. The first method is the method that most people use, but it's also the hardest. You have to jump onto this lamp, and then when you do, you should just barely have enough height to reach by here and ledge grab. However, there's an alternate way to do it that's actually ridiculously easy. You're going to want to jump over to this popcorn cart by here, and then you're just going to want to double jump over here. Getting up to the balcony from this popcorn stand only loses like 4 seconds, which is completely fine for your first few runs. You could even do this method until you're going for world record in theory. But now I'll show you the way that I set this up to hit this lamp by here. I kind of line the camera up by here, so then Patrick's head is lined up with the pole that reaches to the lamp. And then I cartwheel, and then I double jump like this. But you can see I accidentally hugged this lamp, so I got shifted in my angle a bit. But if you mess it up, then you're going to want to just double jump until you get it, basically. You'll know when you get it because you'll slide off it a little bit, but not too much. But whichever way, you're going to land by here. When you do, you're going to want to barely cartwheel off this edge, and then double jump to that platform by here. One thing I will also mention is that you can walk off a ledge for pretty long before you lose your jump. See, look. You can walk off for a pretty long time before you lose your jump. So you're going to want to cartwheel and then double jump to by here. Sometimes you'll get a ledge grab. And now this is where the final trick comes up in this level. So basically what you're going to want to do is hug this part of the wall until it gives you an extra jump. The easiest way to do this is to line your camera up like this, and then slowly get to the invisible platform by here. If your angle's bad, you'll just fall off, and that loses a bunch of time. But if your angle's good, then it'll look like this. And then you can line it up however much you want. And then when you do, you're going to want to space your jumps as far as you possibly can without losing momentum. It'll look like this. You'll see Patrick's stance change a little bit whenever I get it. He'll move his arms downwards. Spacing your jumps is extremely important in this game. Just practice spacing out your jumps. It might sound dumb, but it actually helps a lot. But when you get the trick, it should look like this. You'll notice when you get it, and then you just double jump until you get by here again. And then you just land down to the token, and then that's usually where people split. There is another way to do this, and this is what I do because it's faster and I find it more consistent. When you're walking across this way, instead of walking onto the invisible platform, you actually just try and hit the invisible ledge by here. The reason why is because you have slightly more height in comparison to this invisible platform, so I find it a bit easier and it's faster. However, I don't recommend it because you're more likely to fall down. But anyway, after you've done this, you're going to want to reach the token, and then that'll end the level. You can't get a 1 frame on this token because the level for Sandwich Driving 101 will not spawn. So I'm only going to go over Sandwich Driving once. You do this level about 4 times, but I'm only going to show this and the ring challenge. So I'm not going to show the time challenges for this because you're just going to want to do exactly what I do here. And you might be wondering why I'm showing it off is because of nitro management and stuff. So basically, just take the path that I'm taking. It's very, very simple. And you might also notice at this point that we can actually upgrade our moves. At this point, you only have 5 things to select from to upgrade. You can upgrade Cartwheel here, and that is the first thing that we're going to upgrade, but it loses frames and makes it slightly harder to drive, so I'd recommend doing it in the later level BBBH, Bubble Blow, and Baby Hunt. And now the most important thing that I want to talk about is nitro management. You can save frames depending on where you nitro. Basically, you get a speed boost whenever you press the R trigger. And that is very important because this saves about a second in comparison to just not using the nitro at all. But sometimes when you go around a corner, you're going to turn around it and it's going to be pretty tight and you're just going to very slowly go around it. That's sometimes where you want a nitro, but sometimes it's not. Basically, just nitro wherever I nitro. This is the first place where you use it. And then you cut that entire path. And also try and hit these boxes along the way because you do need manliness points. So you're just going to want to go around it like this. Like I said, it's very basic. This pathway will open up and you just very quickly go through here. There are treasure chests in this game, but just ignore them. They don't do anything to help you in the game. So there are two pathways to go by here. In the ring challenge, you go to the left, but in the time challenge, you're going to want to go to the right and you get another nitro. Across this bridge, there is another nitro, but don't even bother getting it. It's pretty precise and it only saves a couple seconds. Not even that, actually. At this point, you should have two nitros. Just follow this path. Try and get in between the rock and the lamp, because that'll save as much time as possible without getting the other nitro. However, if you find that too difficult, you can just use a single nitro or two nitros and go across like this. Whichever way, it's pretty basic. Depending on how fast you've been so far in this level, depends on where the wrecking ball will be. Now for me, it's always going to get to the middle by the time I also get to the middle, and if that happens, you'll get hit. Like that, and then you'll lose a health piece. So basically, if it's in your way, you're either going to want to wait until it passes and then go forward, or you're going to want to go the complete opposite end. So for example, it's going to the first open area by here. So if that happens, you're either going to want to go to the second or third open area, and then after you do, you're going to want a nitro by here. So by here, there's two pathways to take. You're actually going to take the right path because it's surprisingly a few seconds faster. On the 360 version, you can sometimes get lag spikes after you hit the boxes, but that's fine because they only lose like half a second. I'm not sure if that happens on the other versions, but all you're going to want to do now is store your nitros and then just keep playing through the level. This pathway will open up and you just want to go through here. The other pathway is slow and harder, so there's no point to do it. When you get to this pathway, there's going to be some water by here. This paddy wagon does not like water, but just try and manage as well as you can. Try and move across by here. And when you do, collect the nitro on the way here, go to the right, and use two nitros by here. And then after that, you're going to want to use another nitro, go around the corner, and then get the other nitro. That can be difficult to replicate at first because the paddy wagon's hard to control, but over time you will get better at it. Now there is something else I want to explain as well. Depending on what console you're playing on will depend on the speed of the paddy wagon. For example, the GameCube version has the fastest paddy wagon, and the reason why is because the levels are in 30 FPS on GameCube, so to make up for it, they made the paddy wagon faster. Now I will go from fastest to slowest consoles for the driving. GameCube, PlayStation 3/PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and then Xbox 360. That's the order from fastest to slowest driving. And that does mean that Xbox 360 has the slowest driving out of all the consoles. That can either be a good thing or a bad thing. It can be a good thing because it makes it easier to drive the paddy wagon and to take control of it. But if you don't like the levels, then it does make them longer, unfortunately. So that is a downside of playing on Xbox 360. But I would also argue that it makes the paddy wagon easier to drive in the first place. Even though GameCube is the fastest for driving, it's slower everywhere else. So don't think that it would possibly save time overall in comparison to Xbox, because it really doesn't. When you get to by here, you're going to want a nitro across the water, and it's literally just to save frames. Well, you don't have to, because this next part coming up might be a bit tricky for you, and if it is, then you're going to want to keep the two nitros, but that's just the most optimal way to play the level. So by here, depending on where the wrecking ball is, it can actually hit you when you're going across the fountain, which is really bad. But hopefully, you've met a fast enough cycle so it doesn't hit you. But when you get to by here, you're going to want to hold right, and then use the nitro when you just about make the corner, and then you're going to want a nitro through here. And then finally, you're going to want a nitro up this ramp to maintain speed, and then that's the end of the level. I split when I cross the finish line, but other people split when they get the token. If you find the movement hard in that level, it's fine, you will get better at it over time, but you might just want to keep repeating my movement, and then repeating it, like on an emulator possibly, if that's the way you want to learn the game, because then you can use save states. So that probably is the easiest way to learn the game. Okay, so this level is where new tech gets used, but we'll see it in a second. We won't see it straight away. But basically, just spam B for this text box if Xbox is the version you're playing. I don't know what button it is for the other versions. So basically, right now, you're going to have the The bash is just when you press Y and then you just get launched up into the air. And then you're also going to use it to hit this platform by here and then walk across. You might have seen people double jump spin and then get a ledge grab on the other side. But we actually found out recently that loses a second. So basically, you just want to hit the edge by here until the platform goes across. And then when you do, a cutscene will play. But take no mind of the spitter. If he's getting in your way at first, then you can just kill him. So this is the first instance of bash boosting that you'll see. Bash boosting is when you take damage from something, and then you hold Y during the hurt animation, and then it'll boost you into the air. Double jump spin, and then hold Y while you're getting hit. You don't want to spam Y, and you don't want to tap it. You want to hold it the entire time. You don't have to spin, I'm just showing that that's usually when you use it. So this is going to be the first instance of using it. You're going to want to line SpongeBob up about the edge of the rock and also with the other side by here where you're going to land. Be to the left of these two boxes. Don't go in between or to the right. That just makes it harder. You're going to want to do this. You're going to want to stand by here, double jump spin, hold Y, and then press A. Where you can actually press A after the bash is variable. It isn't going to be the exact same every single time. It can slightly vary. However, it should be roughly around the same time every single time. But basically, very shortly after the bash, you'll notice SpongeBob's animations go back to normal. Like after the hit animation, that's usually when you can jump. But if you're unlucky, you can get stuck by these rocks and die. That's okay because you could just do it again, but if you timed it right, then that shouldn't happen. What should happen is that you land by here, and then you keep walking until you get to about by here, turn the camera, just do a double jump spin. So this is going to be the second instance of bash boosting. I'm just going to take out these enemies right now just to make it easier. If you can't do the second bash boost, that's okay. Literally just walk around. Or you can do this. You can do a double jump spin and land by here. However, that's a little slower than doing the bash boost, and you're going to be doing a lot of bash boosting later on in the game. So I would recommend just doing a bash boost at the start. So the way that this bash boost works is you're going to want to line it up like this. You can kind of see the cacti in the back like line up with some of the lines on the rock. But for this, you're just going to want to double jump spin. Press A when you see that you can, and then you should land about by here. Sometimes you might get a ledge grab. That's okay. There is something I want to explain, because this just happened to me. If you die during a bash boost, like when you touch the cacti, if you die, sometimes when you go back to it, you won't get pushed forward. In fact, you'll just get stuck in place. Like SpongeBob won't move forward or back, he'll just be stuck in the same position. If that happens, you're probably just going to want to kill yourself and then respawn, because that's probably the only realistic way to fix it. But that's only if you died in the first place. If you didn't die in the first place, you won't just lose all your momentum. But hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But now for this part, there are two ways to get up here. We're basically just going to skip this tower section. You can either walk up to about by here and line yourself up with the flower, press Y, and then you'll see SpongeBob like land on the ledge, and then you'll double jump and then land by here. It's very, very easy, but there is another way to do it. You can have SpongeBob walk across by here, and then you can get a ledge grab by here. You're going to want to line yourself up though when you do it before you walk here. You're going to want to get as high as you possibly can by here, and if you take too long, you'll slip down. So you're going to want to very quickly land as high as you can, and then get a double jump and then ledge grab by here. I don't even like this method. In fact, I don't even do it in runs. It only saves 1 second and I hate it, but I'm just showing you that you can do it. But if you can't do it, like I can't really, then just do this. It's very basic. So for this section, all you're going to want to do is just walk across. If jellyfish are in your way, you might as well hit them for more manliness points. But basically, nothing happens until you get to this part. I'm just going to kill the enemies so then they're not in the way. But basically, when you walk by here, you're going to want to do another bash boost. You're going to line yourself like this. You can line the camera up like this to make it easier. But you're going to do a double jump spin. And then you're going to want to do that. Sometimes you'll get stuck on the rock. If you get stuck on the rock in the middle of a bash boost, time your A jump. Because if you don't time your A jump, you'll just get pushed down into the goo and die. So basically, I'm going to show it again. I line the camera up like this, because I don't have enough time to change the camera. But that makes it harder. But yeah, you should land about by here. There is one thing that can happen where the banjo guy I killed can actually hit you. He'll run over here and hit you. But there is a way to manipulate him. Basically, when he walks up to you, like keep walking forwards until he hits his banjo on the floor. And then walk to the left. And then when you see that he's about to walk forward to you, jump spin like this. And then land back by here. literally just do this. And the reason why is because the banjo guy will detect that you're closer to him. So he'll hit his banjo by here, and that'll manipulate him. And because you're manipulating him, he won't hit you. He won't walk over here and hit you. See, that's the speed boost I was talking about. But if the banjo guy is giving you too much trouble, you can kill him and the other enemies and then do the bash boost. That should only lose about 10 seconds. But anyway, after you end up by here, all you're going to want to do is hit the rocks and then get the trampoline by here. The reason why you hit the rocks is because it unlocks the bungee challenge, which is actually what we're going to be warping to. You do get a bit of lag by here. To reduce some of the lag, I move the camera down while I'm walking up here, but don't even mind it on your first few runs. Don't even mind it at all until top level, basically. What I do, this thing gives you 50 manliness points, so I hit it on the way and then I hit the button because it plays a cutscene. And during the cutscene, you have invincibility frames, so you won't die. So you won't take damage from that thing. But basically, after the cutscene plays, you're just going to want to take the following path. If you press A early, you can end and that the height that you gain. I'm going to try and do it now. Like that. And then that will save a couple seconds. Basically, when you get to about by here, you're going to want to double jump. Well, you don't even have to double jump, you can just single jump. But you're going to land to the SpongeBob challenge, and then you're going to activate the challenge. So this is the first SpongeBob level in the game. There are many, but this is by far the easiest one. Basically, just take the following path that I'm taking. It's very simple. SpongeBob is a very weird mechanic that's hard to get used to, but even at beginner level, you can still easily complete this level. Like I said, just take the following path. If you're not fast enough, this block will increase in height before you can get to it. That's completely fine. You can still make a decent cycle. But ideally, you do want to land about by here before the block increases in height. I'm just going to show it again. Okay, so this is what the normal cycle looks like. You should about make it by here. And then when the blocks drop down, you're going to want to keep going forward. And then again, just take the path that I'm taking. These fans by here, they can hit you, but just try and take the path like I am. See, like I just got hit. But that doesn't matter because I'm going to make the same cycle regardless. So, sometimes the fan will look like it won't hit you if you go across. If you're unsure, just wait for the fan to go across and then go by here. Okay, so this is another place where you can get a token 1 frame. I'm going to try and go for it. Okay, so I got it. You can hear the music in the background, possibly. That is an indication that you got it. And then if that happens, you're going to want to warp to Bungee Challenge. This saves about 7 seconds. But if you don't get it, that's fine, because I'll show you what to do. After the token animation, you're going to want to press start, because you have a little bit of time until it fades out. This doesn't happen in the floating block challenges. It only happens in the SpongeBob challenges. But basically, if you do that, you can warp to Bungee Challenge that way, and it'll save an entire load, which is especially useful on PlayStation 2. But basically, you're going to end up by here. This is the challenge that we skipped earlier, and you'll see the token by here. You don't get the token yet. We'll get the token later. But basically, you're going to want to walk forward and do this bungee challenge. I'm going to reload the level so that I can show you the optimal way to do the bungee challenge, because it is slightly based off a cycle. What I did just then, I went under the target. You're going to want to do that because basically, on bungee challenges, when SpongeBob presses A, basically it won't let you press A to dive again if you've already dived until you reach about the same height as you were before the dive in the first place. But if you go under targets, like I did just then, you'll store the dive. So basically, you'll be able to dive as many times as you want. But if you get hit, the animation gets reset, so then you'll have to dive each time. But basically, because of that, this happens. Take the path that I'm taking. You're going to want to hit the corners by here so the steam doesn't hurt you. See, I just got hit by the steam. That's the best place to actually get hit because it barely loses time. But then you're going to want to hit the side like this. I got the 1 frame again. This is another place where you can 1 frame. And then if that happens, you just walk back to Bungee Challenge. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to show you what you have to do otherwise. If you need the health, you can get it, but I don't think you will need it. But you're just going to go back in the box. And then you're going to keep walking until you get to this part. Now, depending on a certain strat you do, the rest of this level can heavily vary. You can either do steamed early and do an intermediate to advanced trick that saves about 17 seconds if done optimally, or you can take this casual route and it's very, very easy. I'm going to show both, so I'm probably going to have timestamps showing which one is steamed early and which one isn't steamed early. Steamed early is a very difficult trick at first. I wouldn't even recommend it until like 145 or lower. But I'm going to show you how to do it regardless. I'm not going to go into too much detail on how to do it, because I don't think a lot of people will need it at first. But I'm just showing you how to do it just in case you do want to do it. So if you do want to do it, you're going to double jump, and then you're going to land by here. This banjo guy can still hit you, so if you're worried that he's going to hit you, move to the side and then wait for him to move his hammer down, and then you just hit him twice to kill him. But you can manipulate him to walk forward, and then if you spin early enough, you'll hit him before he hits you with the hammer. So for this trick, you are going to need free health. You can't do it otherwise. You're going to need free health or more. If you have 2 health, you'll just die. Basically, jump to by here, like I did just then. It's very easy. And then keep walking down until you get to this path. Try and get underneath this, and then if you do, time your A jumps. Don't spam A, because otherwise you'll actually fall into the void, and if you fall into the void, it'll either take several minutes for the hand to grab you, or it just won't grab you at all, and then you have to reload, and this loses a hefty amount of time. So basically just time your jumps. You're going to want to have this camera angle, and you see these 2 lines by here that I'm in between. Go across there, because that's the best way to set this up. Inch your way by here. And then when you're just starting out, you're going to want to time your jumps like this. And then when you begin to drop down, you do a double jump spin until you land about by here. Again, this is very difficult to learn at first. If you're quite low on the height on the rock and then jump over here, you'll actually die in one go. So basically, keep doing this to assure that you have a good amount of height. And then when you're comfortable with the height that you have, do a double jump. And then do a bash boost, and then land by here. Don't do a double jump spin, because sometimes it'll land you in the opposite direction. If you move the camera, this part of the world will disappear, and then you won't see what you're doing. So you're going to want to have the camera like this. When you get to here, you're going to want to walk across this path, just to make it a bit easier, and then double jump. When you double jump, you're going to want to move to the right to go around the corner. Like this. And then try and jump as early as you can, and then spin, and then you should land about either by here or by here, but it's very difficult. And then when you get to here, keep jumping, because if you don't keep jumping, you'll slide off and actually die. Like I almost died just then. So you're going to very carefully make your path across by here. I just clipped back in bounds, so I can't show you how to do it again. Watch what I did just then, in slow motion, I guess. If you don't get the clip in first try, just keep jumping on the edge of this platform. Like, imagine if this was on the other side. You would want to keep jumping across it like this until you eventually got the ledge grab. But basically, you'll eventually end up by here. Walk forward slightly and then do a double jump spin. If you don't walk forward slightly, you won't get enough height and you'll actually die. But if you land by here, you're going to want to double jump spin over here, double jump spin. To finish this, look where I'm standing, walk forward a bit, double jump. You'll hit an invisible platform by here. You can do it by landing about by here and skip a ledge grab and save about half a second. But that's pretty difficult, and if you miss it, you will die. So I don't recommend it. You can't one-frame this token if you do steamed early as well, by the way. So once you've done steamed early, you're going to want to warp to Patrick Gets Steamed. And then when you do, take the following path. And then you'll end up by here, and then you press R to activate the floating block challenge. When you do steamed early, for the ending, it is slightly based off a cycle, but basically just follow the movements I'm about to do. Okay, so I'm going to attempt it now, once this steam has cleared off. I'm just waiting for it really quick. You should land about by here. You might get the ledge grab, that's fine. For this, you're going to want to hold right. So then you end up by here. If you hold forward, you might slide off and die. If you hold left, you might slide off and die. So hold right until you get to about by here, and then you can walk normally. Land up to this part of the plant, and then double jump spin. And then depending on how fast you do it will depend on the buttons that you hit, like where they'll be placed. If you're fast enough, like if this final button is close to the token, it'll automatically warp you to the token immediately. However, that only saves a few seconds, and if you're not fast enough for the cycle, then don't even worry about it. You just end a level like this. If you don't get close enough to the token, it won't warp you to it, so you just walk up to it. You can't one-frame this token, by the way. But after you complete this token, you can actually press start during the fade out. You can do the rest of Sandwich Driving 101 if you want at this point, but it doesn't save time. The route that I do does Sandwich Driving as late as possible without losing time, so I'd recommend that you do that. However, if you don't do Steam Daily, that's completely fine. I'll show you what to do now. It's also worth pointing out that not doing Steam Daily gives you an extra like 50 manlies, which can actually sometimes make the difference between losing a minute and not losing a minute or more in a later level, depending on if you have enough points to upgrade your move. But anyway, if you don't do Steam Daily, take the trampoline and then hit the button coming up. When you do this, a cutscene will play. This is just casual stuff, basically. If you've already seen this game, and if you've already played it casually, then you'll know exactly what I'm doing. But just in case you don't, I'm just showing the path. In case this thing is shooting steam, you just double jump over it. Oh yeah, if these two things are shooting steam as well, walk around it like that. And then double jump over here, and then do floating block. But now floating block's gonna be the next token we're focusing on. If you spam B just before you fade into this level, you can actually cartwheel a little bit forward. But yeah, basically, there isn't a very good way to explain this. This is just casual stuff, but we're doing it as fast as we possibly can. Just try and take the path that I'm taking, because it's one of the most optimal paths, if not the most optimal. There isn't really much to explain here. But yes, it is based off a cycle. It isn't like RNG or anything. So now for these ice cube blocks, make sure you don't accidentally ledge grab them. This is what happens when you ledge grab them. You'll have a very small window to double jump, and I just wanted to demonstrate that very quickly. But chances are you're probably going to die if you do that, so make sure that you space your jumps correctly. But when you make it to the end, just grab the token very quickly. Okay, so depending on whether or not you did Steam Daily will change what you do now. Okay, so if you don't do Steam Daily, then I'll show you what to do now, right? So when you beat this level, you're going to spawn about by here. Just keep walking forward. There will be jellyfish in the way, but you just hit them. And then you're going to want to walk across this path. You're going to want to try and double jump spin over to there. The way that I line it up, you see this part of the edge by here, just try and walk off it and then do a double jump spin. If you die, that's fine, you only lose like 6 seconds. But then if you make it, you want to keep walking across this path, you might want to wait for this steam to end, steam animation. Or you can just get hit and then get the Krabby Patty, it doesn't matter which one you do. But if the steam's in your way, you're going to want to move across the side and double jump spin to get away from it. I'm barely making the cycle, so yeah. By here, the steam will always hit you, that's fine, just don't pay no attention to it. But when you get to by here, you're going to want to double jump spin. If that's too far away, then you see where the 10 is by here, where SpongeBob's facing. Walk up to that platform, if the other one's too far away to double jump spin for you, because that just makes it easier. And then when you get to by here, you're going to stand by here and then double jump, and then you hit an invisible platform by here. And then you collect the token. You can one frame the token. So when you get the token by here, you're going to want to walk up to this box and warp here. If you didn't get the box before, like if you didn't get the box by here before you did this, that's fine. You can just kill yourself and then it'll spawn you by here, but it is slower. But now what you're going to want to do is bash boost over to that island by there. And this is the way to set it up. You see this slightly dark patch by here? When you just about reach the end, you're going to want to walk a tiny bit longer and then double jump spin. Okay, so it'll look like this. And then you should land about by here. There are some things that can happen. Sometimes you can double jump spin and then you don't reach the cacti at the bottom. That's fine. Keep walking because it will stall the momentum. Sometimes you'll reach about by here but actually die. That's okay because it sets the checkpoint to the island by here. And then hit the button and then wait for the cutscene to end. Once that happens, you want to wait for the steam to clear off and then you're going to want to walk forward. Just walk up to this ledge by here. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room to actually walk up to it. It's very easy. And I've already hit these towers because I showed off how to do this when I showed Steam Daily. There will be 3 towers here, and you just bash them all. They'll be somewhere around here. And then when you do, walk up to the token, and then you get the token, and then that's the end of 3K. And then when the cutscene ends, it'll send you to Rubber. Okay, so you actually do this level twice. You do the time challenge later on. I will not be going over that one because it's the exact same as this, except you don't see a few cutscenes, so there's no reason to show it off. But basically, you're just going to want to follow the movement that I take. Try and hit boxes if you can to get more manliness points. You'll see stuff like this, which you won't see in Rubber 2, for example, the target there. So just try and hit these along the way if you can. You'll see that you should have an upgrade point, but just don't upgrade just yet, because otherwise you'll lose frames and it's pointless. There are 2 tricks in this level, and one of them is extremely easy, and one of them is pretty damn hard, and it makes or breaks this route. So yeah, just a heads up. Yeah, just go slightly out of your way to get stuff like this. And now this is Dumb Jump. I'm gonna just show you what it looks like first. Hopefully I get it. Okay, I got it. Okay, so Dumb Jump is a pretty difficult trick to understand at first. The reason why you have to do it is because it makes this first token of Rubber really, really fast. And if you go the long way around and you don't do the trick, it loses like 50 seconds. In that sense, you'd be faster to do a different route. If you can't do Dumb Jump to save your life, that's okay, because that just means that you need to take the casual route for this token. And it also means that you're going to want to do the ring challenge and the Match Time challenge later on, which also means that you don't do I'm Ready Depression Combat Challenge, and it also means that you don't do Shell City Dead Ahead Guitar Challenge, because those 2 are slow. The platform I jumped to had a flower on the right side. You're kind of going to be aiming for that. You saw that I was able to be off the edge for quite a while before needing to double jump. That is the physics engine doing its work. You want to delay it pretty much as long as you can, and then you want to space your 2 jumps out perfectly. You might also think, well, can't you go higher than what you did? And only slightly. If you go too high, you'll get momentum cucked, and you won't even be able to hit the double jump. So you want to still be kind of low around the corner, but not too low. You want to be to the left of the flower that you saw. Hug this wall, but don't hug it to the point where you lose speed. Just hug it as close as you can without losing speed. And then do the double jump. That time I missed it because I didn't go high enough. That just shows the flower on the right again. You want to be aiming for that. It's more of a visual cue than anything else. And if you're playing on Dolphin, definitely make a save state for this, because this is very difficult to learn at first. If you want more detail on this, go into the resource section of speedrun.com for this game and look at the Dumb Jump tutorial made by Manix, because that goes into more detail and it's the tutorial that I use to learn it. But if you're confident enough with it already, just remember, hug the wall, don't hug it too much. Double jump, kind of aim for the flower. That time I missed it again because I didn't go high enough. Sometimes it will look like you should get it, but then you just don't. That's the problem. You can also line it up with the target in the back, but the target's only there after failing it once, so keep that in mind. You can also line it up with the manliness points that are on the ground before you collect them, but that's only really useful if you have safe states, otherwise they will disappear. So you might want to pause the video to see where I just landed, and to see how far you can go before needing to jump. But that's just dumb jump, basically. There is another trick, but it's extremely easy. So now you're just going to want to follow the basic path again while collecting manliness points. Okay, so follow this path I'm taking. The boulders are in a pattern each time, I believe. And even if you get hit by them, you don't lose much momentum. This is the second trick. Go towards the left, go immediately to the right and double jump. I'm going to show it off again. If you miss dumb jump, these enemies will be here and then you can hit them. If you got dumb jump first try, the collision will be there, but the enemies themselves will not be there, and you'll just kind of slide around them. So you kind of want to imagine where they are and navigate around them, or you can just go around the outside and lose, a little bit of time. But whichever way, you should make it up to by here, and then one of the last cutscenes play. Something to note with the other jump I just did, if you go too far to the left and then too far to the right, you can get momentum cucked and then die, and then if you do, you lose like 25 seconds. Alright, so this is the fastest path to get to the end. You want to simply take this path. If you jump immediately when touching the ground, you can accidentally get the one frame and lose all of your momentum. Don't do that, just jump when you need to. And then like that, rubber dub's just simply done. It's a very quick token in comparison to some of the other driving and sliding levels. You come back here one more time for one more token later on, but again, I won't be covering it. Okay, so this is probably one of the most notorious tricks in the entire game. It's very difficult for people to learn. These are 2-frame jumps. You have 2 frames in a 60 FPS level to get these. On GameCube and Dolphin, this level's in 30 FPS, so you have 2 frames in a 30 FPS level to get this trick, which makes it very easy. But on every other version, it's 60 FPS. So at this point, you should have 12 tokens. You just saw that I activated the cutscene. Just pressing cartwheel will just activate the cutscene. But what we're going to be aiming for, we're going to go to that tube over there, and start doing slide jumps. Okay, so I've killed all the enemies in this area just so I can show you the setup for this. Don't hug the wall like this and then jump, because even though you still can get it, you're just making it harder for yourself. Get as close to the wall as you can without actually hugging it, and then hold as far left as you can, hold up left as high as you can, pretty much, and space out your jumps perfectly. You should just about make it. I'm going to show it again. Try and get as close to the wall as you can. And then there you go. Missing it will look something like this. Ah, never mind, I still got it. Yeah, you do have leniency with this trick. You can make it even if you hug it like this. It's just harder. But basically, as soon as you ledge grab, upgrade cartwheel. This saves frames over doing it in other levels. This is as late as you can upgrade cartwheel without losing time. I'm going to explain the jumps in a second, but basically, keep jumping until you get to this line by here, like in between these 2 lines on the ground. And then you get this. And then follow this movement. There isn't really much to explain here, just copy it. And then you can just collect the token. But now I'm going to explain how to actually do the jumps, because this is very difficult to learn at first. The way I do them, I used to zoom in the camera, but I don't do that anymore. Focus on Patrick's left foot, his left foot specifically, and then when it looks like he's just about to hit the ground, like hit A like pretty hard, because I don't know, for me that just makes it easier. Like hit it really hard, like this. Usually, when you just do jumps, you kind of hit them with like in the middle of your thumb or something. You want to tap A or like press A hard with the tip of your thumb or the tip of your finger, depending on what you use to do the jumps. Don't let anything else distract you. You need to pay full attention to this. See, that time you can see that I messed it up. I mistimed my jumps. If you feel like you're going to miss them, you can hug the wall. I don't find it that useful, but I'll show an example of it. So say you miss it, you can kind of hug the wall and then maintain the jumps. That makes it a lot easier, personally. When we get to a later level, we'll have to do slide jumps again. Well, you can do the casual method, which loses a minute, but I'm going to show how to do 3-meter jumps, which has about twice as many jumps, except as a straight line. So even if you can't do these jumps, that's fine, because you can still practice them in 3-meter. Or you can do Frogfish RTA, because slide jumps are the most important trick in that category, and it's very short. World record's like 16.5 minutes. But like I said, focus on Patrick's left foot. Jump when it looks like he's just about to reach the end. You have 2 frames to do it, because I believe the first frame, you only get a single jump. But then if you get the second frame, I think it's a double jump, or maybe it's vice versa. The way I understand it is, act as if every single jump, you only have a single jump to use. Don't act like you have a double jump, because otherwise that'll mess up your momentum. Do a single jump every single time until you get to a higher level where you can actually like consistently do the jumps even if you get a double jump, because otherwise it'll just screw everything up. This is very easy to practice no matter like what version you're using. Like, you don't need save states for it. You can just keep ledge grabbing this every time. It's very basic. It's just the jumps themselves are hard. There is no alternative to this method, really, because otherwise you have to do the really old route. And doing the old route, there's no tutorial for the old route. You can follow Chris the Fast tutorial, where it does a different version of Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt, but then it pretty much completely changes the route, and then you don't even do Rubber Dub 2 until over an hour in, I think. And for that route, you have to do these two levels as well. This trick is very difficult, I know it is, but trust me, it's so worth it. It's the best way to win this game because this is the best route, definitely. You might remember a trick called Disco Skip on this token. Disco Skip is a 1 frame that saves 20 seconds if you get it first try. This route skips it completely. If you're playing on Xbox 360 or original Xbox, I think the fastest segment time you can get for this is 59 seconds, and that's my gold. 59 seconds is ridiculously fast. What would probably be good is like 1:15 or lower when you're starting out. Like, that's pretty good for a beginner. But yeah, that concludes the level. At this point, you should have over 1,500 manliness points. If you don't, then that's okay. You can still get enough, but you're going to be pushing it a little bit. Okay, so for no weenie parking, even though you might consider this boring, I highly recommend that you watch this part of the tutorial. Nitro management comes into play again, it's very important. Follow the exact path I'm following. You can do any route you want technically, but if you're playing on Xbox 360, please follow the route I'm using. I'm not going to explain how to do any other route or what it looks like, I'm only going to show mine. This path loses no time or saves any time in comparison to all the other paths that you can possibly take. There's a glitch in this level called 4th lap glitch. On the 3rd lap, a ramp is supposed to spawn when you get the final key. On 360, if you take a certain path, a lot of the time the ramp won't spawn and you'll have to go around another lap until it spawns again. That loses an entire minute. So if you take the path that I'm using, it almost never ever happens. And again, I'm not going to show how to do any other path, so I just recommend following the one in this tutorial. Just follow my path and use the nitros when you see them. Hit the TNT just because it's in your way. But yeah, try and get all these nitros, just follow the exact path I'm taking basically. This nitro, sometimes you can touch it and it just won't give you the nitro, I swear. It's pretty bad. I almost didn't get it. But as soon as you turn the corner, you just want a nitro. If you don't get it, that's fine. You only lose like a second. Okay, so for this, yeah, basically just, like I said, just take the path that I'm taking. This is where the first key is. You want to get all 4 keys before the 3rd lap. That's the goal. So like I said, you can take any path. There was a place you could go on the left side of the tunnel, but I took the right side, and that's to set up this route. I wouldn't recommend using a nitro by here when you're first starting off, because you can actually go out of bounds and the hand grabs you, and then you respawn at the start of the level. But if you're confident that the hand won't take you away, then you can use a nitro on the ramp because it's faster. You saw that there was a key on that ramp, or above the ramp, I mean. We're going to get that on the 2nd lap. So as you can see, I only got 1 key this lap, but that's completely fine. But now we're going to be taking this left side. Go more to the right on this, so then you don't bump into a pole. And then by here, try and get a bunch of boxes. Sometimes you'll go completely over them, but that's fine. Okay, take the left side, because the right side is pretty slow. Get the 50. Turn the corner, don't go across the ramp, just take this path. Okay, this is where we get the other key. I think I used 1 too many nitros, but that's okay. Okay, this is why the 4th lap glitch is important. You know the path I took on lap 1? Don't take that on lap 2, because sometimes the ramp will just not spawn. Take the left side of this left path and nitro across the left side of the ramp. That'll always guarantee that the ramp spawns. You'll hear it in the background. If you don't see it fall, then that means that you didn't get it. You can't restart the level to get the ramp to spawn back. The only thing you can do is go around the lap again, which again loses a minute. By here, you'll get your final nitro. Only use the nitro if you get it, like, immediately. Sometimes the nitro will follow you. If the nitro follows you, and then you use your nitro immediately, when you go up the ramp, you'll go over this key, and that's really bad. And then when you get the key in the air, scroll up twice. You can use the D-pad or the analog stick, but move up twice, and then warp back to Rubber Dub, and then do the time challenge. Like I said, I'm not going over the time challenge. Once you're done with Rubber Dub, move up twice again, and then you go to Sandwich Driving. Okay, so once you're done with the first time challenge, you then proceed to the ring challenge, and this is the first ring challenge that you do in the run. Basically, all I'm showing is like the correct path to follow and the best places to nitro. That is why you don't have to watch this part of the tutorial. It's just something to keep in mind. Some of it's going to be similar to the time challenge. It's just some of the pathways are different and the cycles on the wrecking balls and stuff are different. Actually, I think they can be way off in this, but I can still show what to do. Around this corner, this is when I nitro. It's a more effective place to nitro. It's just you can't do it in the time challenge because you can't fully cut across the park. But in this, you don't even need to worry about that. But yeah, this is what I meant. When you do ring challenge, don't confuse it for time challenge. Just pay attention to the rings. A lot of people have problem with the tunnel section, surprisingly. But I'm just going to show how you do it, and then you can just copy it. But if you're on cycle... Okay, yeah, okay, that was basically what I was about to explain. The wrecking ball was on cycle, luckily, but that's what it will look like. That's when you want a nitro, because then you can make it before the wrecking ball does. So on this is where cars can spawn. After this ring, go really close to the left side of the wall, and then the car will never hit you. Just hug the left side almost as much as you can without touching it. This is probably the hardest part of the ring challenge coming up, because people will not really know what to do on this part. It's probably faster to nitro on these ramps, but just don't for the sake of convenience. So, if this wrecking ball coming up is in the way, if you're going to go for the ramp and know you're going to get hit, either just stop on Xbox 360 and original Xbox. You can hold X to go backwards. Use that to cut all of your speed, and then wait for the wrecking ball to get out of your way and then go forward. Or, if you think you're fast enough to do it, you can nitro just before the wrecking ball touches you, which is the fastest way to do it. It's just that that's really risky, obviously. So this wasn't in my path. And now I can just safely continue with the level. You want to keep one of your nitros for this part. The wrecking ball might be in your way, but luckily it wasn't that time. When you get to the right side, just nitro, and then you should get the other nitro, but if you don't, that's okay. Go around the corner, and then yeah, you're basically done with the level. I'm not going to go over the other time challenge because that one's the exact same as the first time challenge. Okay, so once you're finished with sandwich driving, you actually warp back to Weenie Parking. So I'm going to show you the correct movement now. You press start, move down 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you warp back to Weenie Parking. The reason why is because it'll spawn you at the beginning of the level. Just spam through this. And then this will open. This is kind of weird because we warped to a different level, and yet it still didn't. It still registers us as getting all the keys. I'm not sure why that happens, but it's very good that it does. You might be thinking, can you do Rubber 2 and SD1 or 2 at different times? You can. This is like a small route change where we do it after getting the 4 keys because it saves a load, which is especially nice on PS2, but it's good for all consoles. So this is a pretty basic boss coming up. We still have an upgrade point, we're going to use it now. So you just want to upgrade Smash. Don't accidentally upgrade any of these. If you do, your run's probably over, unless it's like your first run or something. You just want to upgrade Smash because Cartwheel and Smash, when upgraded, do double damage to the boss. So for Frogfish, wait for him to get close to you, and then Cartwheel away shortly before he touches you. But don't do it too soon, otherwise he'll turn around. You can see we didn't do that much damage to him, but it's enough to get a cycle. This is a really easy boss fight. I go like closer to the center at this point. And now he's going to use his tongue to actually attack you. So we're going to want to jump and slam onto the boss. But don't do it too low. Like, don't hit like the lower part of that thing's body, because if you do, you'll have to sit through another animation of Frogfish like putting his tongue in the ground, and we don't want that. So hit him like pretty much as high as you can, basically. I got the, see, look, I did it wrong just then, but you want to hit it like pretty high like that. I didn't get it, but like just hit it pretty high, but not like too high. You can do it as well on this, but it's pretty difficult. I don't expect people to do that. For this final hit, if they're outside of bounds, which can happen, just try and jump dive into them. The only way you shouldn't is if you're not on like the final hit to kill them. If you do only need one more hit to kill them, then yeah, even if they're out of bounds, just jump and slam. And then that concludes the level. I didn't go over it that much, it's just something that you kind of learn over time to get more optimized at. The cycle for Frogfish is exactly the same every single time, so you can just keep reloading the level and trying it each time. But now we're on to the longest sliding level in the game, Rock Slide. It's very important that you grind for manliness points in this. It's more important than you might think. For example, you can jump across here to save like half a second, or you can go around the corner. Well, you can still like get all these points, but it's harder to do it if you do that trick. Just double jump onto this part of the eel, turn around. It's very, very easy. I don't think you'll need to practice that. So you'll have 2 health left, right? Hit this TNT, get the health, jump to here. I'm managing my health with my manliness points. It's very important because we need as many as we can get, pretty much. So hit these on the way down too. Basically just copy my movement. It's all very basic apart from the last jump. If you do get hit, that's fine. Just skip one of the TNT crits that I hit. But one of them you definitely want to hit because it gives you like 200 manliness points or something. Don't hit that TNT. I don't think you can hit that one anyway. So just do a single jump over here just so you can get all the manliness points. So this is the first trick, well, technically the second of this level. You see this lamp? Go to the right, well, to the left of it, but then like lean towards the right while you do it. When you regain your jump, you can just jump over here, or you can just let yourself fall. Collect this. You should have full health again. So then on the way down, you want to hit this. And now this is where another trick comes up. It doesn't even save that much time, it's just fast. Don't hit that. So do a jump. And then wait as long as you can to do the second jump. Because if you almost touch the ground, but don't quite touch the ground just yet, sometimes when you do your second jump, you'll go really far into the air and you'll get a lot of momentum. You'll land like somewhere roughly about by here. That saves like 3 seconds over the other method that you just saw me do. But don't wait too long, otherwise you'll get momentum cucked and lose all your speed, and you'll lose like 3 or 4 seconds. But hit all of the enemies I just missed. That was pretty bad, but yeah, just hit all of them because you get a combo. So now it's very basic until the final jump. Again, just try and get these boxes along the way. You'll see that I still have 2 health. Don't hit these. There's a reason why I have 2 health. Depending on what cycle you're on, these things can be... See, like, they were moving upwards, so I didn't get to hit them. This is what I was talking about. They give you so many manlies. I have, like, 150 more now or something. And also get this health just for safety measures. Okay, so for this, you can go more inwards, but sometimes you can get cucked by the damage animation if you get hit by the steam. So that's why I go more outwards than inwards. Across here, just do these basic jumps to try and get all these. At this point, you should have, like... 4,200? No, is it 4,200? I think it's somewhere around 4,200 manliness points. This is the final jump. After jumping, move your camera upwards, but not too much. As soon as you go to the left of that flower I just went over, just jump. Do a single jump and hold left as far as you can. Kind of hard to explain. You can keep respawning yourself to try it, but it takes like 50 seconds to get back every single time. It's a very annoying thing to practice. If you have save states though, it's very basic. Like I said, move your camera like upwards, but don't do it too much. Only do it about the halfway point, because otherwise you won't be able to see what you're doing. That's the way that I set it up. There are other ways to set it up. You can watch other runners to see how they do it if you want. Sometimes their setups are faster and save a second or two, but this is the way that I do it, and I find it to be the easiest to learn. I don't think I've ever missed a setup ever since I've done that. On this part, there are 2 paths to go through. Go to the right, because the right path has... Well, it's slightly faster, basically. It saves a second. That's also a nice texture glitch I have on the finish line. 360 is notorious for texture glitches. But yeah, that's the level. You don't come back to this, so don't worry about doing the time challenge or anything. Okay, so keep in mind that at top level, Now That We're Men is probably the hardest level in the entire game. But for a beginner, even then it's still going to be pretty hard to learn, but hopefully I'll be able to explain everything properly. When you talk to Mindy, you'll have enough tokens to get the SpongeBob ability. So when you have the SpongeBob ability, it'll look like this. It's pretty useless, so what we do, we immediately upgrade it. And now this thing has a huge range. because it shoots electricity out and it has a massive hitbox. This thing is probably the most broken ability in the game, and we're going to abuse it a lot. But the first thing we're going to use it for is to simply hit these. There is a cycle. Well, I don't really know if you can call it a cycle. It's kind of like a cycle with some platforms on some lava. But when you get to this part, just bowl this, and these platforms will come up. Skip the first one because it'll activate a cutscene. You want to jump. Actually, I'm just going to activate it. When you hit this, before this platform reaches its full height, you're going to want to double jump spin over to it, and you'll always have enough height to do it each time. I'm going to kill myself to demonstrate that. So it'll look like this. I've accidentally spawned the enemy now. That's good. This is what it should look like. And then you just simply go around this corner. So now we're going to be using SpongeBob's like wall jump ability. I don't think we've really seen this throughout the entire run so far. But the objective here is to do this like the least amount of times as possible to make it fast. So usually when you walk up here, what you're going to want to do is jump on the sign and then immediately jump over to by here. And then that'll send you about by here. So basically, a lot of the signs in this game will make you slide off, but this one doesn't for some reason. So just practice just doing this. If you're not very good at it, that's fine, because you can just go up here normally. It doesn't really matter for your first like 20 runs or something. It's just something I wanted to point out. So to do the fastest wall jumps possible, you're going to want to tap A immediately to go to the other side, and you're going to hold the direction you want to go in as far as you can. So for example, you want to hold right as far as you can, then left, then right, then left, then right. That's just the fastest way to get up there. So it'll look like this. And then you want to do the exact same thing here. Double jump, go to the right side of the wall to do it in the least amount of wall jumps possible. This is on a weird cycle, but if it looks like you're not going to make it, then just wait for the platforms to arise. Okay, so this is the first like actual trick in this level. This is called cutscene skip, and what you would normally do casually, you would bowl these two buttons, and then you'd play a cutscene, and then you just walk across the path and continue on. But we're gonna try and skip this cutscene. Now, I wouldn't even recommend doing this trick until like 1:45 or something, but it is good to keep in mind because it's pretty fast and not that hard. You're gonna want to go pretty close to the edge. There is like a noob trap with this trick. A lot of people try to go like to the other side as close to the edge as possible, and you do want to be kind of close to the edge, but don't go as close to the edge as possible because you'll just slip off. You won't get the ledge grab. You want to give yourself some leniency. So the way to set it up is to have this kind of camera angle, and then you want to walk off and then do this. So set the camera up like this, walk off, jump, spin, turn the camera in the middle of the spin, then jump again. This is kind of hard to process, but I'm just trying to go over it slowly. You want to go close to the edge, but not like as far as possible, because otherwise you just won't make it. If you can't do the trick, then that's completely fine. I'm going to show you how to do it casually. It's very basic. You literally just bowl the buttons. Then you have to sit through a small cutscene. Eventually, you're going to get to this point. When you touch the edge of this slide, you're going to want to hold B. So you're going to want to hold it for as long as possible down the slide. And when you do, you want to hit a specific spot down. You see where the 4Z boxes are? You're going to want to aim the sponge ball in between the second and third one. Because if you aim it incorrectly, the sponge ball will break like instantly. But if you hit it in a specific angle, the ball will continue to keep going down the slide, and that's really good because then we can get combos and stuff. So I'm going to try and demonstrate it now. It's not the end of the world if you don't get it, because you can just hit these on the way there, but it loses like a second or two. But you're going to double jump onto this guy to take him out, because otherwise he will shoot you when you walk down here. And now this is where another trick comes up. So it doesn't matter what height this box is, you can still make this jump coming up. You're going to want to double jump spin onto there, and you're going to want to do it on the left side, not too far to the left though. Like that. And then you want to jump up to this part, walk down it, double jump spin. If that's too far away, then wait for a bit, and then double jump to it. This is the second instance of bungees in the run. It's going to be similar to before. You just want to go under the platform. However, this is a bit different. When you go under the targets, they'll actually break. This is the only level where this happens. And I think it's because these targets are different. Like, they seem like beta targets or something. But yeah, anyway, you can break these underneath for whatever reason and still maintain your jumps like before. So we're going to abuse that. Not on this one. This one's kind of basic. Just hit them in whatever way looks the fastest. And then for this one, you want to get underneath and then go in the direction that, like, where they're heading towards you. And then you can one-frame this token. That saves a couple seconds, but it also skips out on some manliness points. But then when you're done with that, hit this monster, and then bowl this immediately after. You'll get a bunch more manliness points and it doesn't lose any time. And then you want to kill that enemy. Make sure that guy doesn't hit you because he's annoying. And then you're just going to want to follow this path. What I do, on one of the last parts of this, I try and bowl this for extra manliness points. Don't even bother doing that on your first few runs. You can just bowl them like this, and you'll get a bunch more. But on this, you just want to hold bowl for almost as long as you can, and then walk across the platform. Grab the health if you need, it loses like pretty much nothing. And then double jump spin to do another bash boost. Remember the importance of timing your jumps and the variable that can happen after getting the bash boost. If this guy is getting in your way, that's fine. I don't think you can bowl him from a distance. Just try and maneuver around him. Just jump over them and then go like this if you need to. Just try and avoid it any way you can. And then after you kill him, you can just go around here, around the side. And then go behind this monster and then keep spamming the ball. You don't need to hold it for a maximum amount of time, you can just keep spamming it. After you've hit him 6 times, a cutscene will play and it'll put you back by here. Go towards like this left side of the bridge because things are less likely to hit you. If any jellyfish are in your way, around here you can just hit them. Pretty much none of them are in my way, but if they were, you just hit them really quick. They give you 10 manliness points each, but they give you 5 and no cheese. If you want, you can even have... Okay, so for this part, you're going to spawn by here, and the screen will be black for a couple seconds. Just turn the camera by here, and then do this. This thing is solid for whatever reason. Kind of line this up. Double jump spin if you need to. Now for this, I do it very quick. I go across the edge, and then I double jump spin to the other side over there. You're going to want to go pretty close to the edge, and then set it up. And then, like this. That is extremely important with spacing your jumps, and that is something I haven't gone over too much, but spacing your jumps is vital in this game for some tricks. It's super important, but that trick is very easy in comparison to what we're going to do soon. So when you land by here, just kind of take this movement I'm taking, hit this guy along the way, and now this is where Chris Skip comes in. I'm just going to take out this enemy. Chris Skip is a very easy trick, but you need to understand how it works first, and then when you finally understand how it works, then it becomes really easy. This is the way that I know how to do it. I kind of line it up so then when the monster's extending his mouth, it still doesn't touch the token, but it kind of touches like the purple part around it. And then after that, you just grab the token. You can't one-frame that token, by the way. Practicing Chris Skip is pretty easy. Okay, so I stand like as far out as I can by here. You can do this with no camera setup at all, and it's kind of easy still. But I think this is the best way to learn it. You're just going to want to walk forward a little bit, and then do a double jump. And then when you're in the middle of the bash boost, hold up left like almost as far as you can, but if you feel like you're going too far and that you're gonna die and you're gonna go over the monster's head, try and hold right a little bit or try and hold back a little bit. You want to lose that speed if you have too much. I lost a lot of speed just then, so I was able to make it. Don't be afraid to spin if you have to, but only do it if it looks like you need to. It looks a lot harder than it actually is. You'll easily learn how to do it. There is pretty much no alternative to this trick because there's only 2 other things you could do. First of all, you could do this really old damage boost 1-frame setup found by Cole, and you'd have to do the majority of this platforming that you see up here. You'd have to get to where those TNT crates are and then do a 1-frame off of that to reach that token. That's really slow. The second method is completing the level getting the upgrade from Shell City Dead Ahead, which is the next level, warping back to Now That We're Men, and then throwing the ice block to get the token. Both of these lose ridiculous amounts of time, so basically you have to do this trick, but honestly, it's nowhere near as bad as it seems. SpongeBob's head is kind of lined up with the ice cube at the back. Basically, you don't want to angle like this, because even though you can still pretty easily make the trick, it just makes it a bit harder. So when you get to the monster's head, that's when you kind of want to hold back. But the way I do it, I barely set it up. I just kind of walk forward like this, turn the camera, and then I do the trick. You don't have to do that, it's just I only do it to go fast. But after that, you're just going to get the token. And now this is where the next trick comes, a monster skip. Monster skip saves about 15 seconds, and there is a tutorial for this. Manix made one. It also has hand cam. Manix recommended that only 140 players and lower should do it. I'd say you could get away with doing it at like a 143, but it definitely isn't an easy trick, but I should still go over how to do it. But don't worry, I'll show the alternative later. I'm just going to show how to do it first, and then I'm going to explain how to do it. Okay, so for Monster Skip, when you've collected that token, you want to drown yourself in the lava, and then you respawn by here. When you do, you want to, like, just hold forward. All you'll be able to see is a black screen. Just hold forward, but not for too long. Just hold it for a bit. And then keep walking until you reach, like, this part. There's, like, a line, and then there's, like, some part of a texture, and then there's, like, the purple part at the end. Stand on the line, because that is the easiest way to learn it. And then set the camera. So have the camera like this, where when the monster's mouth extends as far as possible, it reaches the end of that like cylinder platform thing. Make it so SpongeBob's head is kind of lined up with the manly point. When the monster's mouth extends as far as it can, that's when you want a double jump spin, and this is where space jumping is very important again. I'm going to try and show it off now. You only have one shot to do it. One thing to note is that you will lose 2 health from doing this, and you'll only have 3 health at this point. So if you lose 1 health unnecessarily, that means that you can't do the trick and you have to like do it again. It's very easy to practice. I think that was incorrect. Okay, it wasn't. When you touch the monster's eyelash, you'll get some invincibility frames. Like, you might want to slow it down. Use that to your advantage. Get to the point of his eyelash at the top. Hold upright, but not, like, too far or for too long. And you want to space out your jumps again. And then, when you get damaged on the eyelash, hold forward and hold Y. And then keep holding forward after that. And then after the bash boost, press A pretty much as soon as you can, basically. And then you should get the ledge grab. For a more detailed tutorial, watch Manix's. It has hand cam. But this is, like, the way that I set it up. Again, it saves like 15 seconds. Well, technically 15 seconds. But if you do the 1 frame in floating block, the 1 frame token, then Monster Skip actually saves like 27 seconds or something. If you don't want to do Monster Skip, that's fine. Warp to the 2nd token after getting Chris Skip. So if you're just doing casual monster, I don't really have to demonstrate much. But you are going to want to do floating block before doing casual monster. So if you do monster skip, you're going to do that first and then do floating block. But if you don't do monster skip, you do floating block first and then this, because it saves about 2 seconds. But for this, you simply just want to warp as Patrick and then just follow this path. I really don't need to explain this. One advantage to doing this is that you get a bunch more manliness points along the way. So if you feel like you're low on manliness points, you might just want to do it anyway. It doesn't lose that much time. But whichever way, you're going to land up by here. And now this is where floating block comes in. I will explain floating block skip, but not for very long because it's like a 138 trick or lower. But I'm just going to quickly show how to like maneuver around the level. So for floating block, just kind of follow the path that I'm taking. It's kind of hard to explain and I'm not doing things like super fast. I already got hit. This thing will be in the way, just wait for it. I also want to point out the floating block skip is a 1 frame trick with a really bad setup that I think it saves like 1 minute and 10 seconds. You can miss it a total of 4 times before it starts to lose time. If you get a 5th try optimally, it'll lose like 2 seconds over just going around. I think that's what Alex97 found out. You can also slam these, but there's no reason to. Like, the camera has a really weird way of showing you where to go. So it's very hard to, like, explain where to go. Just, again, just try and follow my movement. This is a casual level. You're just going to do casual strats for this. There isn't a very good way to explain it. But this is actually not even that long a floating block challenge. This is kind of hard. This isn't the hardest floating block though. The hardest one is in the next level. Again, watch out for the ice cubes and make sure to not get ledge grabs. Because if you do, then that could easily lose you like 20 seconds or more, depending on where you die. For this part at the end, what I do, I move the camera downwards a bit and I cartwheel. And then I move it around like this and I try to avoid all of the blocks. See, that's what happens if you mess it up. But luckily, if you miss it, you just spawn up by here. And then if cartwheeling is too hard, you can just do this. Okay, so now I'm just very quickly going to explain float and block skip. Not going to go very much into detail on this, but the way I do it is based on an audio cue. Just have the camera like this. Don't go too close to the edge. When you cartwheel to get the damage boost, don't cartwheel in between the first and second spike, and don't cartwheel on the second spike. Only cartwheel on the first spike. But yeah, it's a one frame. There's no other way to get it. Okay, so that's what a successful attempt looks like. The way that I learned these one frames is that you always want to jump later than you think. If you try to jump during the damage animation, if you don't get a jump at all, that means that you jumped too early. But if you did it too late, you'll get a single jump. Like Patrick will jump once, but he won't jump twice. And the double jump is what you need. But the only way to get that is with the one frame. One frame trick in a 60 FPS level. Even on GameCube, this level is 60 FPS. Apparently on PS2, it's like almost impossible. All the setup is different. So please don't do this if you're playing on PS2. I don't think you should be doing this until you play on Xbox anyway, but yeah. Again, this is hard to explain. I base it off an audio cue. I'm going to show a successful attempt and put the music from this level into it, just to show you where the audio cue is. So I'll just show it on the screen now. But once that's done, you're just going to want to collect a token. You can one frame this, and it actually probably is like the most time-saving one frame in the entire run. It saves like 12 seconds or something ridiculous. But if you don't get the one frame, you're just going to spawn by here. Just simply follow the path. I'd bowl this on the way. But when you get like a 148 or something, if you're not doing any of the hard tricks, an optimal Now That We're Men with like Chris Skip and nothing else on Xbox is like a 650. The world record Now That We're Men currently is the fastest ever Now That We're Men done is 5 minutes and 11 seconds. But yeah, when you're done, you're just going to want to collect a token. And then you'll be going to probably the second hardest level in the game if you don't do guest jumps. When entering Shell City Dead Ahead, you should have 25 tokens at this point, and that's the exact number you need for Patrick's upgrade on the throw ability. You automatically get the cutscene when you load into the level. But now you have the throw ability. This thing is kind of broken. When it's not upgraded, all you can do is just this. But when you do upgrade it, you can throw it ridiculously far. The only problem is, at this point, you're going to have like 4,500 manlies, and you're not going to be able to upgrade throw. Basically, the objective here is just to upgrade in SCDA wherever we can, because this is where manliness point route gets really, really scarce. But the first thing you're going to want to do is to simply just throw the melon on here. If you feel like you need extra manlies, just jump on this and cartwheel off of it. We're going to skip a cutscene now, so stand like close to this edge, cartwheel around like this. The reason why is because if you stand like around where the melon is, you'll activate a cutscene and a Merv will spawn. You'll have to kill the Merv, but because we don't have the upgrade ability for throw, it'll take a lot longer than usual. And also, in the Shell City Dead Ahead Guitar Challenge, which is a challenge that we'll be doing later on in the run, in the middle of one of the rings, the Merv is just in the middle of the ring, and he's pretty hard to navigate around, so you can easily fail the Guitar Challenge just from that alone. Skipping this cutscene will skip the enemy spawn, so because you're skipping the enemy spawn, he won't show up during the Guitar Challenge, which is really useful. Practice cartwheeling around there. If you accidentally spawn him, then that's pretty much it. He's always going to be there. If you're making a practice file, then make sure that that doesn't happen. But the next thing you're going to want to do immediately after is toilet skip. Toilet skip wasn't really essential before, but because of this new route where we don't yet have upgraded throw, you pretty much have to do toilet skip. If you've already hit this button, by here, which makes the toilet seat go down, these invisible walls around the toilet won't exist, so you'll very easily be getting toilet skip. But that's because you're not doing it properly. So for toilet skip, you can do it with cartwheel, or you can just do it without cartwheel. But I find it easier with cartwheel. Hug Patrick against the wall, cartwheel for a very, very short amount of time, and then navigate around the other side of like the toilet seat. Like, you're going to be pretty outwards, and then you're going to want to go pretty inwards, and then you'll land like in the middle of that platform below. So this is what it looks like when you successfully pull it off. It is pretty damn tricky. It's easier to practice if you have safe states. But you can keep practicing it by jumping back. Navigate around it like this, because the invisible walls are still present. Don't cartwheel for too long. If you miss this, you'll spawn all the way back to the beginning and you lose like 20 seconds. This is one of the harder things that you have to learn in the route, but it's definitely worth it. See, that time, I cartwheeled for too long and I did it off the edge a bit too much. You can do it without cartwheel, like that, if you find it easier. Just don't go too far off the edge, because that's the mistake that most people will make. And again, don't hit the button, otherwise the invisible walls will disappear. If you really can't do toilet skip, you can hit the button, but you'll have to get the melon from all the way down there and then throw it on this, because we don't have upgraded throw. That is really slow, because you'll have to spawn the enemy, kill the enemy, walk over here with non-upgraded throw, and then hit the button. It loses a lot of time, and it makes Guitar Challenge harder later on. When learning this level, toilet skip isn't even the hardest thing you're probably going to do. Eventually you're going to land by here, and then you're going to want to skip this part by here. Cartwheel off the edge, and then space your jumps. You can get a ledge grab, it's just obviously slow. Again, that's the importance of spacing your jumps. Just simply throw the melon at the TV. And now this is where manliness point grinding comes into play in this level. Hit all of the TNT crits that I do, unless you know for a fact that you're going to have 5,000 manlies. So do this. Make sure this guy doesn't hit you. Hit all of these with cartwheel. And then that'll kill that as well, and then you'll get a huge combo. That gives you so many manlies, and it's only with skipping if you know for a fact you're going to get upgraded throw before that. So this is the next part coming up. Follow the path that I'm taking. This is circ skip. The casual way is just to go all the way around, which is really slow. But we're just going to spin across and then cartwheel and then double jump to the other side. So you're going to want to hug this wall a bit, and then when you get close to the edge, spin and then cartwheel and then double jump. It is kind of hard to get down at first. You can kill yourself to keep practicing it. If you don't like that, you can also hug the wall with cartwheel, like this. I don't really like that, and it's kind of slow, but again, for your first few runs, you might want to do that. This is what it looks like if you mess it up. If you're too close to the edge and you spin for too long, then you'll lose your second jump and you won't be able to cartwheel. You want it to look like that. And then when you do, collect the token. You can't one-frame that token, by the way. And now this is where circ skip comes up. I'm going to show you the way that I do circ skip, and then I'm going to show you the way that pretty much everyone else does circ skip. My method saves 3 seconds, but it's harder, and you only get one shot at it. Basically, if you get circ skip first try, these enemies will be in the way. If I stand by here, I can have one of them hit me. And then if they give me a damage boost, I can double jump to the ice cube. And then I'll store momentum, and then I'll keep storing it, like, with the camera facing this way, to eventually jump up to the ledge up there. However, you only have one shot of doing my method. If you die and try to respawn the monsters, that's slower than doing it the alternative way. If you're going to practice my method, one thing that should be noted is that you can only practice it if you restart the level and warp to the first token, because if you spawn the enemies, like, by here, the spawning positions will be slightly different from usual, and because it's slightly different, they won't give you the proper damage boost to get to this ice cube. So I'm going to show my way of doing it, just in case you want to try it, and then I'm going to show the alternative method that is probably easier. Now, I'm going to show you my method of circ skip. You want to cartwheel, but not for too long, double jump, hit the ice cube, stand by here, press A, well, double tap A pretty fast, and then you'll get this momentum. And then walk, like, jump back a bit, but not too far. And then keep storing it like this until you reach the end. When it gives you a damage boost, it's very hard to, like, navigate yourself, like, with the ice cube. But keep doing this, basically. But don't hold too far forward, otherwise you'll land on the floor and lose all of your momentum. I'm going to show you the easier way of doing it, the more consistent way to practice it as well. However, you do get more momentum with this, so it could be harder to maintain that momentum. That's why I showed the other way. See, look, I messed it up just because like where I stood was a little too far to the left. It's pretty tricky. I haven't done this in a while as well. Again, like remember to double tap A like really quick. But yeah, as you can see, I have a lot more momentum than before. A little too much momentum, actually. I need to, like, maintain myself. There we go. You'll have a lot of momentum when doing that. But you just want to double jump up to here. This takes quite a bit of practice, but do it on your first run. Even if you know that you're going to do it faster doing it casually, it's just not worth it. Trust me, in the long term, it's way better to just learn this trick. But eventually, when you do get up here, navigate around like this. For this part, I see a lot of people cartwheel and then spin and then cartwheel again to give themselves extra height. But you actually lose height by doing that. It actually makes it harder. So instead, cartwheel for a short amount of time and then double jump. Space your jumps out perfectly, and then you'll make it to the edge. You might ledge grab. This is where the next trick comes in. Keep walking until you reach about this part. The reason why is because it'll set your spawning position to by here. You'll know when you've gone far enough when you see this little piece by here. When you've walked around it, that's about where it'll let you spawn again. And now this is where the next trick comes in. You're going to want to get rid of this guy. Pick up the melon, throw it across by here, and then angle yourself like this, and then throw the other melon. That almost went off the edge. But when you ledge grab, if you have 5,000 this points, this is where you want to upgrade throw. The latest you can upgrade throw is like just after floating block, which is a couple minutes after. But this is the best place to do it, and this is usually where you'd want to do it. These guys can be in the way. If they seriously are in your way when trying to do the trick, you can try and kill them very quickly. It's just that that's slow. But I do kind of recommend doing that for your first run, unless you can consistently do it. You kind of want to manipulate where they're going to spin, depending on where you landed after doing circ skip. So you kind of want them to be like where they are now, so they're far away enough to throw the melon without it auto-targeting to them. But yeah, anyway, when you get it, just keep using cartwheel. You'll land about by here. Just cartwheel off like this. And it should reset you to where I was before. Yeah, here we go. It's kind of hard to practice because this thing's in the way. So what I usually do when I practice it, I warp to circ, and then I do circ skip, and then I do the other trick because they go hand in hand. There is an alternative to this called XT boost. I know it's a dumb name. XT boost gives you less manliness points. You have to do it late game. I think a bit of RNG is involved. It's significantly harder. It involves another bash boost, is less forgiving, and is 3 seconds slower. So basically don't do it is what I'm saying. So the method that I showed is the method that you want to use to get it. But after you've made it, just navigate around like this. And then when this third enemy spawns, just slam the ground, pick him up, and then when you've gone like maximum height, or like close to maximum height, that's when you want to throw him at the TV, because then it activates a cutscene. And then you're going to simply want to just warp to the next part of the level. This is probably the hardest trick to learn when starting off. Oh yeah, I got a texture glitch here. This is the most common texture glitch to get in this level on the 360 version, is when you get a sand tube and then you get this other weird texture. This enemy is going to kind of be in the way. If you think he's going to be in the way when you're doing 3 meter, just simply kill him. Now that you have upgraded throw, when you hold R, you can lock on the things. Sometimes if you only do it for a short amount of time, you can kind of still control where it goes. Again, I'm not going to show off casual 3 meter because it's very basic and anyone can do that. Just keep in mind that you can 1-frame this token, and if you do, warp to the third one. When setting up 3 meter, you want to cartwheel like towards it to break this box. If you don't break the box, come around by here and just swing until you hit it. Don't hit this TNT by here, because if you do, it'll break this. And also, don't stand like by here to pick it up, because if you do, you will pick it up, but you also exit the level, and you don't want that. So stand about by here until you pick it up. Now this is where the harder part comes in. You see where the hand is focused on the box? You want a good camera angle, maybe by here. Keep walking forward until the hand disappears. You want to inch your way forward and then throw it. That is the setup that Manix taught me, and it's actually really, really useful. You'd be surprised. Keep practicing it like that because it's pretty much the only visual cue you get. Most people probably don't even know that, and that's what makes the setup so hard in the first place. When you do, it can vary where it's placed. if it goes down here, just reload the level. It's also worth noting that this trick saves like a minute and 2 seconds or something like that when done perfectly. So it is a pretty time-saving trick. I'd recommend going for it when you have like a 144 or something. Again, if your run's dead and you just want to pull off some neat tricks, then you can do that. When jumping on this block, you're going to kind of get some weird momentum. So just cartwheel and double jump up to by here. Again, this is where spacing jumps becomes super important. Also, something to mention really quick is that if you break this box, you can't really do the setup, because the whole point is to focus on this box. But if you break it, you'll be focusing on this box instead, and your setup will be fucked. This is the same thing as BBBH slide jumps, except people would argue that might actually be easier, but it's just not a like 100% necessary trick. The reason why people think it's easier is because you don't make any weird turns, you just go forward like this. Keep in mind of his shadow as well. You can easily keep practicing this if you want. I practice it a lot. I keep practicing it until I get perfect jumps. But again, just tap A and don't act as if you have a double jump. Just keep acting like you have a single jump every single time. If you need to hug the wall like this, you can. It in fact is even easier on this level. But eventually you'll land by here. Don't go too far to the right or too far to the left, because I did that in my PB. I fell all the way down there and lost 50 seconds. Basically, if you don't know what to do, just look at what I said in Bubble Blow and Baby Hunt and just copy it pretty much. Only focus on Patrick's left foot and just keep pressing A pretty hard, like in the middle of your thumb. Don't use the tip of your thumb, like if it's at an angle. And again, you might want to pay attention to the shadow. I usually just pay attention to the foot. And don't, again, I keep stressing this, don't act as if you have a double jump, you're just going to mess yourself up. If you don't care about the one frame, you can just land straight on the token, by the way. Whether you do the casual way or this way, you want to come down, try and hit the spitter on the way down. This guy should be in the way. Just cartwheel through him. He's only going to take away 1 of your health. Okay, so for this, there are 2 ways to do this. You can either cartwheel over to this edge and then warp the floating block, or you can get a melon and just throw it at the other side. But that method's slow and you have to sift through a cutscene. So the fast way to do it is to stand by here and cartwheel, but not for too long, just cartwheel for a bit and then space out your double jump. But this is where the problem comes in. If you did casual 3 meter and then you die on this trick, you'll spawn right at the bottom of 3 meter and then you'll have to reload the level. If you did 3 meter skip, then you'll spawn at the beginning of like the new location. Like you'll spawn back of 3 meter, but not like the casual way. So if you did 3 meter skip and then die on this, you lose less time. You'll almost never miss this. Like you'll probably miss it once in your entire like speedrunning of this game. But again, you'll look like that. When you get the ledge grab, the floating block challenge will spawn, which is this challenge over here. So as soon as you ledge grab, just warp the floating block. I'm going to try and show off the fast cycle for this, but you probably shouldn't even go for the fast cycle. Just do casual strats for this one. I don't know if this happens on other versions, but on the Xbox 360 version, sometimes you won't get the proper sliding animation for this. And sometimes your speed won't get lowered when you're standing on this. Like, for example, I'm going like max speed on these. That's not supposed to happen. I think it's just a 360 bug. So again, only follow my, my route, like, if you feel like you can actually do it. You can easily practice this, anyway. You definitely want to cartwheel over to that trampoline, though. If these things are in the way, just wait. It's not worth trying to be fast. If you're on the fast cycle, you'll hit this block just before the spikes come up. And then that's when you know you made the fast cycle, or maybe you've just gone too slow and you've made a really slow cycle. But yeah, just take the path that I'm taking. Hopefully the blocks will be in like the correct order that you want them to be in. Just avoid all the spikes. Just try and navigate around if you can. Don't ledge grab on the ice blocks. Okay, so for this part, see look, I almost died because of that. If it looks like spikes are about to turn, go the other path no matter what. Don't even risk it. Like that. You want to space it out. You want to space out your jumps. If you're not very good at this, you can just reload the level and keep trying it over and over again. You don't even need save states to effectively practice it. You can't one-frame this token, collect a token to carry on. Okay, so I'm going to slowly do this next part, but then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's on a cycle. I got another texture glitch. That part by there I don't even need to explain. It's very basic. Just get the ledge grab. Before I move on, I want to point something out. Look how quick you can slam these enemies before they actually spawn and appear on the ground. You can do it ridiculously fast. I'll try and show it off again. Like, look how, like, see, look. That was pretty quick. So you have a lot of leniency to do that. But yeah, now I'm going to move on to this next trick. You can slam this enemy and throw him at the button if you please. But that's pretty slow and, you know, I don't want to really be slow. So instead I'm going to show you how to skip this part by here. There will be a spitter in the way, so you need to do it fast enough so the spitter doesn't hit you. Because he's pretty much guaranteed to hit you in the middle of, like, doing the trick if you're too slow. But wait for the next fan to show up. You're gonna just land by here like this. Okay, so this block is moving up and down. When it's moved down, that's when you want to double jump. Like that. The spitter will try to hit you. Again, just try and be fast enough to avoid that. Okay, so I'm gonna show this off within like one cycle. Because you can keep killing yourself and reset the cycle to get the exact same cycle every time. So basically, hopefully the spitter doesn't push him like he did just then, but like just go around him on the right side every time. And yeah, you want to do it quick like that. When these guys show up, just slam towards the left. Very quickly, try and hit the button. If the move is in the way, just hit the move, that's fine. And then try and hit the other move. Usually you'll have these two guys left. If you didn't hit the button on the left side, this is your opportunity to do it. And then you can try and hit the button by here, but I don't even try that because usually that thing's in the way. Remember what I said about cartwheeling and then slamming towards the left? Because if you slam too far to the right, the enemy on, like around by here won't get stunned. But if you do it like closer by here, all of them will get stunned. Also keep in mind the range that Patrick has. It almost extends as far as the bubbles. If you don't hit all the buttons by throwing the enemies, this is your chance to very quickly slam them. The spitter will be in the way, but try and pay no attention to him. This is where the final trick comes up. Pick up the melon. Go on the edge of this first trampoline, hold R and then hold forward, and then hope for the best. Hope that the TV falls. Basically, hope that the fan isn't in the way. That can happen. If you're on a bad cycle, that can easily happen. If it does, walk back and get the other melon. An alternative is to go all the way out, like while holding the melon. But you have to do it fast enough to not, like, die. Because if you die, you get set back all the way to where the floating block challenge is. The easiest way and quickest way to do it is just to do it on the edge of this first trampoline. Hold R, hold forward while doing it, and then hope you don't hit the fan. And if you do, that's okay, just do it again. And now, this is the final token of this level. However, we do come back here later. Okay, so I'm going to show you the fastest and the second fastest way to do Fast Dennis. I'm just going to show it off at first. I might not get the fastest Dennis because it's really difficult to do. But I'm definitely at least going to get the second fastest one. Okay, I got the fastest one. Okay, good. And then very quickly, I just want to point out, after collecting this token, press start, and then warp to Sundae Driving to skip a cutscene. It saves like 1 second. I'm just going to explain what happened. You saw that I threw melons before Dennis landed on one of the platforms. If you throw a melon before Dennis lands on it, if the shockwave from the melon is still there by the time Dennis lands on it, it does double damage. I have no idea why, but it does double damage for some reason. So that's very important because that's the way to get fast Dennis. The Dennis you just saw is the fastest Dennis you can get. My Dennis gold is like 29 seconds. I think the fastest you can get is like a really high 28 with like where I split and with these Xbox loads. There is a particular setup for it, and the reason why I said it's very precise is because one of the jumps I did gave him like this hit animation when he jumped to the other side. Sometimes that just won't happen and he'll continue to hit you. So I'm going to show what that looks like. This is the alternative method. So basically, wait until he hits you with that. See, look, as soon as he throws the toilet, that's when you cartwheel. You want to hold R, like RT, but not for too long. Oh, that's what it looks like. Okay, so you're going to hit him again, and then you get damaged, and then you do that. The anchor, where the anchor points to, is where the melon will go. I'm going to try and show it again. This is a very hard thing to explain. I'm going to try and break it down. Cartwheel as soon as he hits that. Walk forward. Throw it until the hands show up, like to the point of Dennis, basically. Walk forward and do that. Pick it up as soon as possible. I did it just in time. And then hold RT as long as you can before he jumps over. and then try and hit him. I went too far to the left, so I messed it up. This is such a hard thing to explain. You're just gonna have to keep doing it over and over again. Again, cartwheel, walk forward, do it until the hands show up, walk around like that. And then if you get the fast Dennis, do it like that. You get the cutscene. The most likely one you're gonna get is the second fastest Dennis. You actually want to get hit by like the toilet that he shoots out. Okay, so walk a bit to the right, grab that, walk to this part. Okay, that can happen. That's what happens if it's too late. Honestly, if that happens, you're kind of screwed and you should just reload the level because I don't really know what else you can do at that point. Again, make sure you time it properly. Throw the melon just before he jumps and then hold it for as long as you need to before he lands. And then hopefully the direction you're throwing in is the right one. If you need to stun the enemies around you, that's fine. It's just that you're going to be working off a different cycle if you do that. I don't think I explained that too well, but I honestly have no idea how else to explain it. It's a very difficult level to learn. Dennis 2 is a lot easier. If you're not very good at it at the start, that's okay. I don't blame you, because you'll have other things to worry about more anyway. Yeah, this is the longest driving level in the entire game. It's even longer than Rock Slide. My goal for this is like 4 minutes and 36 seconds. This is where you actually have to chase Goofy Goober. So basically, follow the path that I'm taking, like I said before. Nitro management, like I said before, except this is a different type of nitro management. You're going to store nitros on the first lap, because on lap 2, we're going to be doing something called Fast Goob. We're going to basically go so far ahead of Goob that he never catches up to us. You can't do this on lap 1, because it'll detect that you've gone too far away from him, and you can't do it on lap 3 unless you despawn him on lap 2. But yeah, again, just take the path that I'm taking. Don't take the shortcut coming up. And don't use any of your nitros. On the second lap, that's when you do it. But if you have 10 nitros, and then you see another nitro coming up, just use your nitro and then pick up the other one to save a second. You only want to use like 1 nitro max on the first lap. Maybe not even that, honestly. I stopped using all nitros on this. The reason why is because you can use as many nitros as you possibly can on lap 2 and 3 to get as far ahead of Goob as possible. You want the advantage over him, because if he gets ahead of you, which will probably happen on your first attempt of doing it, you will be pretty screwed. That's pretty much the only place where I even attempt a nitro. Sometimes I don't even do that. But yeah, pick up all the nitros you can that aren't too far out of the way. This one's completely fine to get. I used to go to the left to save some time, but now I just go to the right to pick up another nitro. Also, the gumballs can easily hit you. Watch out for that. And also, the ice cream can hit you. These things can hit you. Try and navigate around them as best as you can. I nitro by here. But this is the only place I nitro on lap 2, unless I already have 10. But that's the only place I nitro. On lap 2, I don't think these things will ever hit you, pretty much. Yeah, that'll never hit you. So this is where the actual trick comes up. You want to nitro where I nitro, to save as many frames as possible and to get as far ahead of him as you can. There isn't really much else to say other than, you know, just follow my path. It's very, very basic until lap 3 where you have to do the... Well, you don't have to, but it's the best way to get ahead of Goob. There's like this fence clip that saves a few seconds. It's actually ridiculously easy. It's just if you've messed up once, you're probably going to have Goob get away from you. But yeah, like I said, just take the path that I'm taking. Even on the third lap, you might not want to take the shortcut on the left. I still get the nitro just in case I need it. But again, if you're not careful, you'll go too far away from it. Also, on lap 1, you saw I went like over the ramp, just nitro past. There isn't really a good way to explain this other than when you make the turn, hold left as pretty much as far as you can, and then nitro before it, and then you'll almost always hop over. Yeah, basically, hold left, nitro across like that. Honestly, I kind of did it pretty low. You want to do it a bit higher than that usually, but there isn't really much to say there other than hold left as far as you can. Like I said, there isn't a good way to really explain that. It only saves 3 to 4 seconds. You don't have to do it, but it's the guarantee that he'll pretty much never catch up to you. But again, just nitro where I nitro. These save frames, and this actually matters a lot. I used to lose so many runs to Sundae Driving until I finally like started using nitros where I should use nitros to save as much time as possible. You'd be surprised by how much it actually matters. The alternative to doing fast scoop is to just like do it normally. Which loses like 25 to 30 seconds. I had too many nitros just then. Sometimes during the token animation after Sundae Driving, Goofy Goober got away can come up. That's the message you get when Goofy Goober is too far away from you. That can sometimes show up during the token animation, but that's only if he's close enough to you, which he probably won't be. Okay, two things can happen if it says Goofy Goober got away during the token animation. Either A, it'll respawn you, but you can still warp to Googly Eyes and Smelly Knickknacks, or B, it'll just respawn you and you have to do the entire thing again. At that point, your run's over, pretty much, unless it's your first run. But again, if you don't want to do fast scoop on your first run, I don't blame you. Just follow Goofy Goober, don't take any of the shortcuts, and just follow the path that he follows. Just don't get ahead of him, basically, if you're not going to do fast scoop. If you are, then, again, make sure you do the shortcut on lap 2. Don't do it on lap 1, and don't do it on lap 3 unless you already despawned him on lap 2. Hopefully I don't get the message that Goofy Goober got away. I don't think I will. That fence clip that I showed you, you can practice that on the time challenge. Like, when you're making this save file, you can just go to the time challenge and practice it every single time. This level coming up, it's not very long, so it's not going to be as bad as Sundae Driving. This is as simple as just following the path. There's a quick death you're going to want to do. You're going to want to make a note of what wires you go to because they're in different colors, because you got to hit the targets in a certain like order for it to be as fast as possible, otherwise you're just going to be wandering around aimlessly. So please keep note of what wires to do and make notes if you need, if you can't remember the colors that you go to. That comes up in a few minutes. There's a jump called lamp jump towards the end of the level that I'll show off, but I'll show you what happens if you die, because then you can get a cutscene skip, but it saves like around 12 seconds. So again, just follow the path that I'm taking, basically. I'm only going to show this off once. I'm not going to show off Guess 2. I'm not even going to show off the ring challenge, but I will note something. On the ring challenge, something can happen called a fake ring, and that's when you go through one of the rings in this level. The game will think that you didn't pass it. It'll be like a ghost ring, and it'll respawn you back to the start of the level, and it'll act as if you failed. The best way to avoid this is to go in the middle of every single ring. Basically, don't cut the corners tight, just go around it, like, loosely, I guess, because that further guarantees that you're going to get it. If you pass a ring and you try to recover it, the only way to recover it is to hold backwards and do 1 frame jumps to go through the ring again. No one's ever done that in a run and gotten a PB. It's pretty rare, but I've gotten way too many fake rings to count at this point. So try and recover it if you can, but if you can't, then you're probably going to say goodbye to like a minute and a half. It's probably the most broken thing in this run that can happen that isn't your fault. It's ridiculous. We don't know the chances of it happening, but again, it can't happen on any other level. It can only happen on this one. This is the shortest ring challenge that isn't like guitar challenge based. It isn't reset worthy until like 136 or something. You could still probably PB even if you miss it. But again, take the path that I'm taking. If you feel like you need more manlies, like you only need 2 more upgrade points. I am going to show off upgraded spin in this route. I don't use upgraded spin in my run. It loses like 4 seconds and makes the Neptune boss fight easier, but I'm going to show it off in this run. But basically, if you feel like you won't have enough manliness points, just hit things on the way. Actually, this is a better thing to hit. But basically, make sure after this section you have 2 health. There's actually a reason why you want 2 health, but I'll get to that in a minute. Jump to this yellow wire. Don't cut the corners too tight, otherwise you might fall and lose a lot of time. But again, I can't stress this enough. Just take the path that I'm following. Hit one of the steam things by here, and then jump across like this. You might find that you miss that a few times when starting out. That's fine. Keep practicing it if you keep messing it up. But that's the quickest way to get around here. Hit these on the side if you want. And now you want 1 health. The reason why is because we're going to kill ourselves on the red wire, and we're going to spawn to a different part of the red wire higher up and save time. You can drown yourself on the water by here. You might have seen it just then. But because we have 1 health, we can just die from the TNT and then spawn by here. It only saves a few seconds. It's pretty dumb, but I just thought I'd point it out. Again, keep notice of what wires I go to and take note of what colors that you need to go to. So yellow is first. Always remember the yellow is first. These jumps can be pretty damn hard, but again, keep practicing them if you miss them. Make a jump over to the orange one. and then like slow down if you need to after the landing, so then you don't like lose momentum and fall. So yeah, yellow, orange is like the first part you need to remember. Then jump over to the other orange, and then blue. So it's yellow, orange, blue. And you get this, and you jump back to red. So the order is yellow, orange, blue, red. You might want to make note of that. This part coming up is called lamp jump. Now I've hit all of the targets the lamp has spawned to actually finish the level. But you can cut a corner and do this. When you get to about by here, hold back and slow the tub down, and then double jump when you get to about by here. Space out your jumps. If you mess it up, that's fine. I'm going to try and show what it looks like. If you die when doing it, just spam A. Spam A really fast, because otherwise a dumb cutscene will play. But if you spam A, you'll actually go over the cutscene and skip it. So that's a quick way to recover it. But yeah, this is what it looks like casually. But either way, you'll make it up here, and then you simply just finish the level. It's as simple as that. This is probably the easiest level, or at least it is in Guess 2. On Guess 1, you've got to keep a reminder of the wires. Eventually, it'll get to the point where you don't even need to remember the colors, and you just keep doing it based off muscle memory. But that's the end of Guess. On Xbox, you're going to be looking at an optimized Guess to be like a 254 or a 255. Okay, so Dennis 2 is the second and last time we see Dennis. That is a very interesting texture glitch. Alright, let's just ignore that. Anyway, what we're going to be doing for this is similar to Dennis 1. We damage him before he touches the ground to do double damage. And that is very important to get a very fast cycle. I'm going to try and demonstrate it now. See, look, the bar doesn't represent it properly, but I did do about double damage to him. The enemy got in the way. See, if you get too close, he'll go to one of these sides. That's really bad, and you're probably going to want to restart the level if that happens. Try and copy what I do. I'm going to try and demonstrate it as well as I can. Okay, so you saw I was moving a bit forward each time. You don't have to do that. Oh yeah, you can also pause by here, by the way. What you saw me do, I was inching towards him every single time. That's because the bowling ball, like, kind of inches you forward. But it's also because it's a bit faster. The ball reaches him a bit faster. But you can do a safer version of this, pretty much. And also, I'm bowling him as often as I can, pretty much. Apart from, like, the first bowl. Pretty much, as soon as the ball disappears, you want to immediately bowl again. The enemy will sometimes be in the way. If it is, just bowl it, and then get prepared for the next one. Usually, if you can see that he's about to jump, bowl to the other side, and if Dennis doesn't land on the ground fast enough, just press B, and an electric shockwave will appear. Like, that'll be the hitbox for it. And Dennis will get hit by that, and it should do the same or even more damage. It's very hard to explain what to do here. Yeah, like I said, you can stand as far back as you want. You don't have to inch forward like I did. Follow my movement. If the enemies are in the way, bowl them. Bowl them as often as you can, and as soon as you've already done damage to them with the bowling ball, hit them again. You want to make sure that your first shot directly hits him. Just hit him as many times as you can. If he does end up going to the sea, like, okay, what happened there, I deactivated the sponge ball, like I detonated it too soon, just a tad too soon, and that made all the difference because then he went to the other side. But that means I can show off this. If you go too close, and he goes to the side, that's fine, just kill the enemies and just bowl them like this. But if you can't manage to do that, and you're just going to want to reload the level, I'm going to try and show it one more time. Again, there isn't really much I can say apart from just keep practicing it if you really need. If you, for whatever, like, you shouldn't have upgraded spin at this point, but if for whatever reason you do, then you can just deflect his shots that he shoots out. But after that, you're going to want to warp to Guess 2. This cutscene played because I already grabbed the token. Take no notice of this. During Guess 2, I realized that the path is slightly different from Guess 1, so I just wanted to very quickly show off this. The only thing that's really different is the beginning, and also you don't do lamp jump at the end. But I'm just showing that this is the path that you take at the beginning. You simply just do this. That's the only difference, really. Don't try and get faucets or anything. I'm not going over Guest 2, because it's basically what you saw in Guest 1, except you don't go around to hit all the faucets. You just take a normal path. Once you're done with Guest 2, you're going to walk back to this level. This level has a lot of tricks, so it might be hard to keep up. At this point, you should have 36 tokens. I have 33 because I haven't collected the guest tokens just yet, but I will off screen. Basically, you're not going to have enough tokens to get the guitar power up, but that's fine because we can still do the first 4 tokens of this level without them. So this is the first trick. What we're going to do, we're going to bash this button, and that's going to give us enough height to land like around here. And then instead of hitting this button and watching the cutscene, we just go around. So there are there's 3 ways to do this. Okay, so the first method, and this is the one that I used to do. You see these 2 cracks by here. Try and get like in between them. And then when you bash, you should maybe, hold on, let me go a bit closer. You'll see SpongeBob like bash it twice. On the second time he bashes it, you're gonna hold left as far as you can, and then jump, like, almost immediately after, but not too soon. But it's a very tight window to jump, and you want to do a full jump, and then you should ledge grab to about by here, and you can continue on. Okay, so this is the second method. This method saves, like, 0.06 over the method I just showed you, and is probably easier. You want to stand close to this box, walk off of it, because, you know, with this engine, you can walk off of a surface for a pretty long time. And we're going to abuse that here. So walk off pretty far, and then bash, and then jump to the right side like that. And if you think you're gonna fall, then just keep jumping until you like grab onto this part by here, and then make your way across like this. This is probably the easiest, well, it's the easiest method that doesn't lose time. Pretty fast actually, but now I'm going to show you the easiest method to do it. The reason why I'm showing the easiest method last is because if you mess this up, you would have to reload the level to try to set up again. So I showed you the other 2 first, and you can do those as a backup if you don't want to do them. I would recommend doing the second one I showed off where you bash to the right, because that one isn't very difficult, and it's important for a cycle that we're going to be doing on the bungees. But if you really can't do it, stand by here and charge a ball shot as much as you can, and then if you're close enough, the hitbox will touch the button, then you have to sit through the cutscene, and then you just navigate through like this. It's very basic. If you get hit by here, that's fine, because there's an extra health that you can get. This is where the audio cue comes up. I'm going to have to show a demonstration of what it sounds like through editing, because you won't be able to hear my gameplay properly. When the Merv shoots his missile, it'll be like a high-pitched sound, but then when the missiles start to target you, they'll have a lower pitch, which tells the player that it's targeting them. When you hear that lower pitch, that's when you move down to the bungees. So I'm going to show an example of that right now. I'm also going to show an example of what the beginning of your Planktopolis should look like along with it. That was a weird texture glitch. Nice. But anyway, I'm going to hear his missile. And then when it gets to a lower pitch, I double jump. And then follow the exact path that I'm taking. We're going under the bungees again to maintain jumps. Don't hug the wall, otherwise you'll lose that, like, the maximum jumps. And then by here, just spam A and then try and hit all of the targets. And then you should be able to complete the challenge. If you get hit by the electric wires, like if you only hit one of the targets and you hit the electric wires, that's fine. Just take your time and hit them, no matter how slow it is, because that's bound to be faster than dying and doing it again. It's pretty tricky, but honestly, you'll understand how it works the better you get at this game. But it probably is the hardest part of Plank 1, so don't be too discouraged if you can't do it immediately. Okay, so for this next trick, we're going to go out of bounds and then immediately go back in bounds, and that skips this entire section around here. Stand like towards the edge of the box, and then double jump. There's no point in doing the double jump spin. I don't think that makes it any more consistent. I mean, you can, I guess. But what we're aiming for is an invisible ledge. The invisible ledge is by here. It's like just after the spike that I'm under. So that's like the cue to get it. So when you do it, you're just going to want to have this kind of camera and then hold like forward with like a little bit to the left as well. Hold it as high as you can, and then immediately double jump to get to by here, and then double jump spin over to here. Don't fall down here, otherwise you have to reload the bungee challenge. And then you can just take the box to come back, but it's still slow. So for this, there's no real like consistent way to get back in bounds. But the way I do this is that I face the camera by here and I just walk in between like that, and it should push you back in bounds. The problem is, sometimes it just won't and you'll get stuck in between these two spikes. Just keep trying to walk across it. Just keep holding forward until you eventually get it, and then as soon as you do, react to it immediately so you don't fall in the lava and die. But anyway, you should eventually end up by here, and then you just take the following path. What we're gonna do now is switch to Patrick. So just follow the movement like this. As soon as you see the hand touch the pressure plate, then you throw it. Cartwheel to here. And then don't cartwheel on the ice, otherwise you'll actually just lose a lot of speed. And then just walk up to the token. I got the token one frame, but I'm just gonna act as if I didn't. Okay, so after that, you immediately want to warp to Combat Arena, which is the final token on the menu. And then when you do, there'll just be this one enemy that you kill. As soon as you kill the enemy, don't press B at all for cartwheel, because sometimes you can cartwheel away from the token, and if you do that, you'll soft lock, and then your run's over. So basically, just let go of B, like I am right now, and then you'll just get the token safely. I've only ever seen people soft lock here like once, but I'm just saying, just don't spam B after you've killed the enemy. Once you've completed the combat arena, you'll spawn in this exact place. And now we're going to do another out of bounds, except it's really easy. Jump on this part of the door, and then simply just jump like this. I can't go back in bounds to show you that, but just jump close to the spike that I'm right next to, and you'll get it like every single time. But anyway, we're going to navigate across here. There are two ways to get under this floor. Imagine it like Steam Daily. You can either cartwheel down here, which is the faster method, or you can cartwheel by here, and I'm going to show this one off because I find it easier. Simply just walk off, and then as soon as you see that you're going to fall, just jump under the map like this. The only other way around this is to unlock the token on the other side, and then doing it casually, and that actually loses like 2 minutes, so you pretty much have to do this. You can spam A if you want. Just get over to the token. You can space your jumps like this, where you cartwheel and then jump, but this is really risky and only saves a couple seconds. You can't one-frame this token, by the way, just pointing that out. But there isn't really much to explain with this. If you can't get it, just keep practicing it. And then, after you do this, warp back to the first token, and then talk to Mindy, and she'll give you the Sonic Wave guitar. I obviously don't have enough tokens just yet, but when you do, just immediately upgrade it. Warp to I'm Ready Depression Combat Arena Challenge. When you see the text defeat all enemies, just spam B, and then you won't have to sit through this, like this wave 1 of 3 thing. You can just deactivate it like that. And now for this, if you go in the middle of like the arena and fight all of the enemies, that is faster, on average by like 4 seconds per time you come here. For the sake of the tutorial and for beginners, I think it's just easier to demonstrate this. Just stand at the back and spam SpongeBob and spin whenever you need. Because it's less RNG dependent. You have more control of like where you can hit enemies, and you can just see them better as well. There isn't too much to explain here, honestly. Just, if you get hit, that isn't the end of the world. If you get hit twice, you're going to want to get some health. If you get hit once, then after one of the waves, you can just very quickly collect health. But you probably won't die here. This is a kind of long token, it's like 3 minutes. But it isn't that bad. These peanut guys, if you deactivate the sponge ball to like detonate it early, sometimes they'll get hit by it, but they won't die from it. Like if they're too far away from it, and that's fine. It just means that they took like 1 damage. But if you spin at them, they'll take 2 hits to kill because you don't have upgraded spin. So imagine it like that. You're doing 1 point of damage to them each time. I'll try and show that now. He just got hit once, and then I can hit him once with the spin and kill him. But like I said, just stand at the back. The reason why we do this late game is because it's more convenient and we already have the sponge ball. This is the only way that this route is even fast. Well, this old route. We're combining this old route with a newer route. But there was a really old route where this token wasn't even done. But the new reroute is coming up in a few minutes. But yeah, like I said, just make sure that these guys don't come towards you. They easily can. I'm kind of stretching out a bit. I should probably stay at the back. Ooh. When they hit you, they'll do like an animation to like laugh at you. You can use that to your advantage to either get health or to kill them all in a huge like combo. At this point, you shouldn't have to worry about getting any more upgrade points, by the way, so you don't need to like grind for manlies or whatever. After SCDA, you don't have to worry about it, like hardly ever. I never worry about it after SCDA. But again, if you bolt in the wrong direction, just press B to detonate it, so then you get it back, because that's faster. And then just like that, you completed the challenge. And now all we have left to do in this level is the Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge. Okay, so when you're done with the Combat Arena Challenge, immediately press Start and warp to Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge. I'm just going to show you the basic path, just in case you've never done it before. It's very, very easy though. This is probably the easiest ring challenge in the entire game. You can get up here by like, you can jump by here and do a double jump spin, I think. But you can like almost never get on there, or maybe you do this. Not really too sure how it works, but the way I do it, I just wall jump like this. And then to do this quickly, press R and then press A twice, like really quick, because that's the optimal way to do it. Don't let anything distract you during this guitar challenge, by the way. I was on 131 pace before and I accidentally hit like one of the ice cubes and lost like 40 seconds. So yeah, make sure that doesn't happen to you. By here, move a bit to the left, and then move a bit to the right. You'll get the timing for it. But I'm just saying that just in case you can't see it properly on your TV. Because I didn't used to be able to see it on my PS2. Oh yeah, make sure that you don't accidentally hit the enemies as well, because that's really bad. But this guitar challenge is like over, I think it's 50 seconds long. This is where I split, is when I hit the target, but you can split on getting the token. Okay, so this is where the reroute comes up actually. Press start, move down 4 times, and then scroll until you get to Sonic Wave Guitar. And now we're going to do another Sonic Wave Guitar challenge. You can do Sonic Wave Guitar and then Combat Arena in Depression 2, but I do it the other way around, so then I can do 2 guitar challenges in a row, and I find that easier. But anyway, this one's quite a lot harder. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. Just going to go move a bit to the right and then move a bit to the left. Sometimes you can phase through these ice cubes, sometimes you just kind of can't, from my experience. Sometimes you can hit the lamp, sometimes you can't. Basically just stay away from all that stuff. When you reach the target at the end, there will be an enemy standing in front of the target. Please make sure that you don't hit that thing, because if you do, you lose in like over 2 minutes, I believe. It's pretty ridiculous. But this isn't a hard challenge. You shouldn't have any problems with this. I'm literally just doing this with my left hand. Like, I'm not really paying much attention. You can just kind of do it. If you are struggling with these ring challenges, there is a method that I used to use to make it easier. But I'm going to show it off in SCDA 2, because that's where it can get used the best, and where I can show it off the best. But these are pretty straightforward, but Shell City Dead Ahead Guitar Challenge is pretty notorious and people actually despise learning it. And that's what sometimes discourages them from playing this game. But honestly, it's not bad at all. When you're learning the game, it's probably the hardest token to learn. But honestly, it becomes one of the easier tokens. I never worry about it anymore. I worry about things like float and block skip, but I never have to worry about that. But yeah, again, just don't hit any of these. You might want to do these like a few times in a row just in case. See, that's the enemy I was talking about. Sometimes you can stand on the target. And now this is where the reroute comes in. I did a tutorial on this. It's on speedrun.com, but it's a bit outdated. So what we're going to do a tech called Guitar Warp. We're going to store this text box and then just walk off of it, and then we'll maintain it. So then when we activate the guitar challenge, we'll walk back by here. So basically, stand like close to by here and bowl off. But then like press R at the same time, like that, and then hopefully you'll land off of the platform, and then press B, and then you'll have this text box. Warp as Patrick, and then press B to get rid of that text. And now we're going to do a cutscene skip. Normally you'd see a cutscene here. Stand by here and cartwheel to the left, and then do 2 full jumps, and then you skip a cutscene, and then just navigate around like this. Don't get rid of this text box. It's actually extremely important. Just make your way backwards. We're doing this level backwards. We used to do it... We never even used to see this part of the level because of a different route. But this is where slide jumps come in. Because we already got the final token of the level, like, first, we can just do all this backwards. So for this, what we're going to do, we're going to actually activate this text box. But because we're doing a ledge grab, we're going to, like, be stalled by here. And then this wooden platform will disappear. And then we tap A as we can. And then we hold, like, up left. Like, I'm going to show it off now. Okay, so if you get stuck, just move around a bit, like this. Just keep moving around, and then press, like, X, and then you'll do a slam. You'll get by here. We're going to activate the sponge ball challenge. Like, you can see, I don't have it, and now I do. Walk as far up as you think you need to. You only need to walk up to about, like, by here. I go like this. But if you really aren't comfortable with it, use this as a visual cue. This will help you understand, like, some sort of visual cue until you get better at it. Yeah, again, you're just going to go backwards. And then as soon as you see this checkpoint pop up, press R and then press A twice. And then it'll warp you here as Patrick, and it'll say that you failed the guitar challenge. And then warp as SpongeBob. And then you're going to want to drown yourself in the goo. What this will do is respawn you where the checkpoint was. And now we're here as SpongeBob. So in the old route, we do this like throwing through challenge as Patrick. And it'd be a cycle, and it was just kind of boring because it was all casual. But we can skip all of that with SpongeBob, and it's really fast. So this is where you want to stand. You can see the spotlight. It's like slightly brighter than everything else. Stand like just behind it. And then use your guitar. And then hit all of these buttons. This is like 30 seconds faster than the other strat, probably. And then when you get the token, it'll warp you up by here. And now we're going to keep doing the rest of this level backwards. You can re-warp to the throwing through electric challenge, and then you'll be Patrick, and then you can navigate behind as Patrick. But the easiest way to do it as Patrick doesn't save any time at all, and the other methods only save a few seconds and are really hard, so I'm just going to show how to do it as SpongeBob. Just keep walking along this path, and then jump down to by here. Might want to do a double jump spin. And then if these enemies are in your way, just bowl them. Or just knock them out if you need. For this, you're going to want to walk across this platform. You see the left corner, the upper left corner? Walk across that as far as you can, so then you can double jump spin and get to the other side. That is admittedly kind of hard to learn at first, but even if you miss it, you lose like 15 seconds, and this route saves like 40, so you can afford to mess up a lot. Actually, it saves a minute if you didn't do disco skip with the old route. Disco skip is a one-frame trick that we used to do. But speaking of the disco token, we're about to get it in a minute. You're just going to want to simply walk across this path. And then instead of doing the dumb one-frame, what we're going to do instead is hit the wall with the guitar. And because the hitbox is so big, it hits the button on the other side. And then you just walk up to the token. And yeah, you can one-frame that token, by the way. So because of that, we can now warp the sponge ball. We got the sponge ball warp earlier. This is probably the easiest sponge ball challenge in the entire game. We used to do it like 20 minutes in, and now we do it like an hour 15 minutes in or something. There is like a task cycle that saves like over 10 seconds, but obviously I'm not going to be showing that. I've never even done it before. I'm just going to show you the standard cycle that's really easy. There isn't much to explain here. If you're not very good at sponge ball movement, you can still easily make the cycle because of how easy it is. But if you find yourself messing this up, just go over it a few times. Don't try and get that that side of the cylinder because you'll make the same cycle regardless. Okay, so for this, move when I move. As soon as that block gets out of the way on the right, that's when I go forward, and then I don't even hold forward entirely. I just kind of inch my way forward. And then by here, take your time. And then when you collect this, you'll have 46 tokens. You can one-frame that token. And then we're done with the level. When you do, scroll 5 times down, and then warp to Sonic Guitar Challenge again. I do this before SpongeBob, but you can do it in whatever order you want. This is considered the hardest ring challenge in the game, but I'm going to show you what it looks like and how to make it easier for yourself. So when you're just starting out, a good way to find out where the rings are going to be, as soon as you pass a ring, pause, because that'll let you briefly see where the next ring is. Like this. I used to do that for maybe a week or two, but I don't do it anymore. Apart from that, there are like 2 other places where you can get like cucked on this level. These rings move, by the way, but... Well, they don't right now, but they do later on. But honestly, it isn't that bad. Ah, here we go. Here's where they start moving. The hardest part of this, usually for people, is that it doesn't really tell you where the next ring is going to be. It gives you no real indication. And sometimes you got to do a bunch of loops. But I'm going to tell you like how to easily remember how to get past these loops and stuff. Like when you pass through the cirque area, that's when you know you got to go around by here. Okay, so this is like the harder part for people coming up, I think. Don't cut the corners too tight. Okay, so when you get to by here, that ring will spawn in almost the exact same place, and then it'll loop around, and then you got to do it again. When you see this the first time, go to the right. When that ring is there the second time, go to the left. You know how I did toilet skip earlier, right? If you didn't do toilet skip, you'd see the cutscene for the Merv. I skipped the cutscene, so I didn't get the Merv. If you activate the cutscene, the Merv will be here, and he'll be like in the center of this ring. So if he's there for you, just go around the corners to make sure he doesn't get you. Because otherwise, that'll end the challenge and you'll lose like a minute 30 or something. Okay, so when you get here a second time, go to the left. That's the easiest way to remember it. Go right first and then go left second. But I do understand that this is very hard to learn. It took me forever to beat this as a kid. But once you pass all that, this is probably the hardest part if you already know what the rings are going to be. Or like where they're going to be placed. Again, just make sure you don't hit any like objects. And you might need to practice this like several times. Again, there's no like alternative to this route really. If you really need substitute tokens, you could probably do Sundae Driving time challenge if you really can't do this. But that'll lose like 40 seconds or something dumb like that. But yeah, just a heads up, you probably can do that if you really need to. But after we're done with this, we're just going to warp to SpongeBob. This is where rotating coloured platforms come in. The pattern that they go in when there's 3 on the screen are red, yellow, blue. It begins with just these platforms, that's fine, and then it becomes yellow and blue platforms, and then towards the end will be red, yellow, and blue. So just remember, it's always red, yellow, blue. If you come towards a platform, and let's say you see the yellow ones rotate, remember that blue's afterwards. RYB, remember it like that. You might need to make a note. Some people have even made notes on their TVs to remember it. I just remember based off muscle memory and based off cycles. But if you really, really need to, write it down on a piece of paper or put it on notepad or something. Just whatever helps you remember it. Because it is especially important in a later SpongeBob challenge coming up, but it's also important here. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with like the rotating platforms. When you see the yellow ones rotate, just go up to this one. This fan can hit you off, just wait a little bit. Like navigate it around like that. Be like just behind one of the other fans, because otherwise the other fan behind you will probably hit you and then you'll fall off. Falling there loses like over 40 seconds. But anyway, this is red, yellow, and blue platforms I was talking about. Remember, it's RYB, the order. So it's gonna be red, yellow, blue, red, yellow, and then blue. And then it'll be the same by here. Be red, yellow, blue. I say it out loud, honestly, because I find it easier. You can either go around casually or you can do this. It's pretty easy, but I understand if you don't want to do it. And then you can one-frame this token, but I didn't get it. But anyway, that's SCDA2. It's pretty quick. And that's all the backtracking done. So then when you're done with that, Warp to this token in Planktopolis. This is the one where we went out of bounds to get it. And all we're going to do now is simply walk up to the next area. These Merv guys can kind of get in the way. So just kind of jump around them if you need. Now I'm going to show you how to do this wall jump section like as fast as possible. But you can like store it as much as you want. I do this. 1, 2, 3. And then I hold up left and up right. And up left, and then like up right, up left, up right, and I do that because that saves as much time as I possibly can with this. So this next bash boost coming up, it's kind of simple, but you might need to practice it. It's just something you don't have to go all the way around. You can go around if you need, but yeah, that's how simple it is. But sometimes, depending on where the missiles land, can actually change the direction or the momentum a bit. So if you can't get it at first, I understand. Wait for this guy to shoot his missiles, and then when they fire, walk up to the edge, and then hit this. You can't fall down and hit the button early, because the button doesn't spawn until you get to this area. But anyway, this is the hardest SpongeBob challenge in the run. I'm going to show the fast cycle, and then I'm going to show the alternative. But when you do the fast cycle, there are still 2 possible cycles that can happen. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's RNG. They're both still faster than the normal cycle. The cycle's slightly different when you kill yourself, so that's why I just restart the level. But you're going to want to have optimal movement for this part. Get to this fan, push like against like the right side of this fan, and hopefully you'll land by here. Again, I'll show you the alternative, but I'm just going over the faster one first. We'll see if I get the fast cycle or like the semi-fast cycle. And then this is where like red, yellow, and blue platforms play in. Yeah, I got like the kind of fast cycle. Just take it easy like this. When these things shoot, don't even attempt to go past because you'll almost definitely die. Just wait for them. And then if these things are going towards the right, wait. And then go like this. You want to hang to like the edge of the left side, because if you go forward, the steam will hit you. I'm not going over the other one very much because it's a fast cycle. Not many people are going to be going for that. But normally, you just want to wait for this red manliness point because it's an indication of which fan you're actually supposed to go on. And then you simply go on it like this. But doing that misses this cycle, and that's why we don't do it. That's why it's so slow. But again, for beginners, like, it's just completely normal to just do this casually. Once you've gotten this token, there isn't much left to do. I'm going to be showing what soup skip. I'm not going to show the alternative because it's just very casual. All you do is just hit the buttons where the green manliness points are, and then you just walk across the platform. But that loses probably like 15 seconds or something. Now this challenge is actually harder than it seems, especially if you don't have upgraded spin at this point. You see this line, kind of like line yourself up with the line, and then you want to just jump, spin, jump. I'm going to show that again. Don't mind this is just, yeah. Okay, so you'd probably think that you need to space your jumps out as perfectly as possible. That's not really true. You just need to reach the wall when you're at like close to maximum height of your jump. Because if you're too low, you'll just touch the lava and die. So you don't even need to space your jumps out that well. See, look, I spaced them out pretty horribly and I still made it. Yeah, like I said, I kind of lined SpongeBob's left foot up with this. And I have like this angle. Again, if you can't do it, then just hit that button, and then hit this button, and then a small cutscene will play, and then you can just walk across. But I'd highly recommend practicing this. See, look, that happened because I hugged the wall too much. It doesn't lose that much time, it loses like 10 seconds if you miss it. You want to do it on like when you're at like your maximum jump. But this is a bit trickier. Just take the following path that I'm taking. You want to like wall jump as fast as you can. Until you end up by here or by here. Don't even pay attention to these enemies. You just want to bowl these two sides and then keep wall jumping up here. Don't hold left and right with the analog stick, because if your angle's bad, you will actually fall all the way down. So just tap A at this point. Just don't hold the analog stick. When you're up to by here, you're just going to bowl this, and then you can walk across. When you jump down, there'll be free moves that can shoot you when you're trying to do the final bash boost. Also, this gives you a bunch of manliness points, and that should give you enough to upgrade spin. So I'm just going to do that now. I don't do upgraded spin in my route, but for beginners, it's definitely useful. You can reflect shots, and you have a longer spin. And this does like double damage to enemies. Yeah, for beginners, you'd probably want to despawn the moves. So come up to this side, jump down like this, and then walk across, and then the moves just won't spawn, so they'll no longer be in your way. But if you just jump down normally, you'll just spawn like by here, and then the moves will be here. So you're just gonna double jump spin, bash boost, land by here, because if you don't land by there, you won't get the respawn point for this. Like, even if you get a ledge grab, just immediately jump down like this, because even getting a ledge grab sometimes won't keep you spawn. That's probably something that you're going to have to practice a few times. Trust me, it's significantly easier than walking all the way around and killing the enemies. But now I'm going to show you the fast cycle for this. As soon as you land on the platform up there, immediately spam the button for guitar. Sometimes SpongeBob will just do this weird animation for a couple seconds where you can't move or do anything. I believe that's RNG, but again, just try and follow the cycle that I'm doing. We'll see if I get it. Okay, so I didn't get it. But just walk, like, jump to the middle of this. As soon as you can see that you can target him, do it. And then if you can get the fast cycle, do this. I didn't get it. So if you don't get it, just jump back like this and then do it. And then this is where I split. I am going over this kind of lightly because it's just stuff that's hard to explain. Like, you'll get it eventually. It's something that comes over time. Okay, so at this point, you'll have 50 tokens, so you can finally do this level. This is Sandwich Driving 101, except harder and it's backwards, but it's a lot more interesting. So again, just follow the path that I'm taking. Nitro management, upgrade spin if you haven't already. It's standard stuff, like, you already know at this point. I'm just going to show you what it's supposed to look like. This oil bit by here can really screw you over, but just try and collect that if you can, and then nitro around the corner. Yeah, I think the right side's faster, but it has more oil, so just keep that in mind. The oil is really hard to navigate through, especially on GameCube because of a faster paddy wagon. I go like halfway across the sand patch before I nitro just to make sure I get across the water. Again, just try and like copy what you see. It's kind of hard to explain driving. This level's different to Sandwich Driving 101 in the sense that if you don't make past like certain points in time, you'll have to restart the level because you just won't complete it. The plankton statue earlier that looked like it was about to fall over, you can easily screw yourself over with it, and the statue can actually fall before you reach it, and if you do, it says that you failed, and then it respawns you at the beginning. Also, you just saw that there were two paths. Go to the left path. It's easier and it's faster. The other path is kind of like a slide. You can nitro across this if you need. Okay, so this is usually referred to as park skip. You can just nitro across like this. If you have two nitros, then that makes this part even faster. Don't hit that hot sauce, because if it knocks you to about by here, it can actually like get you stuck like by here, and then you won't be able to break out of it. This is an example of getting stuck. I just went up towards it and now I can't escape it. This loses a few minutes actually. So again, just make sure you don't accidentally get pushed up to this part. That's why when crossing the bridge, you want to kind of reach the left side of it and hug it rather than the right side. Okay, so apparently you can get pushed out of it, but that's only because I got hit by the hot sauce. So at that point, it's RNG whether or not you actually get, like, back in bounds. So yeah, I'm just going to continue on. Take this path by here. As soon as you get this, just use it. But yeah, this is standard stuff. You can just cut across by here. There isn't much to show here. But now we're finally getting to probably the most interesting part of the entire run, the Neptune boss fight. Definitely the best boss fight in the game, at least. Now, I'm going to show you the easiest cycles for this. This is a very, very hard thing to optimize. But an optimized Neptune is like a 355 or something like that, or 354. As soon as you spawn, hit this table. And now for this fire, you want to like move forward and then move left, and then move forward and then move left. That's the easiest way to do it. But of course you're trying to make it to Mr. Krabs before before like getting the slow cycle. See, like I just missed the table and I got hit because of it. I actually wanted to get hit so then I can show you this. Do this as a backup because he'll never hit you with the fire. You can do this on phase 2 as well, but you can't do it on phase 3. Also, make sure you're not too low on this plank, because otherwise he'll hit you. Just stand as high up on the plank as you can, but eventually he'll pan the camera to you. Stand to the left side of the statue. Standing to the left side makes all of the cycles easier, and I never see anyone do this apart from me and Tedious. But trust me, it is easier and you make the same cycle. Especially on phase 2. For that, you saw that I didn't really hit Neptune, but I detonated my guitar, and the hitbox is so big that I already hit Neptune. That's just a small optimization you can make, but if you don't want to risk it, just aim for his head. The guitar does double damage to him when it's upgraded. But you're just going to repeat what you saw the first time. But again, go to the left side. And now this is where he shoots like laser circles at you. It's pretty hard to navigate around this. You just kind of jump around like I am, and then move back if you need. And then when the coast is clear, just hit this. Because of the cycle I got, both of these tables are outside of his circle, but usually they'll both be inside. Yeah, but like you are gonna have to hit some of them like on the inside, but only hit the ones on the inside that you need to. All the ones that are on the outside are really nice to have. Again, this is best done by standing on the left side of Mr. Krabs. Well, it'll be the right side when the camera goes back to you, but when you approach it, it'll be on the left side. Like, hold A as long as you need to as well, because the longer you hold A, the longer SpongeBob's jump is. And then if you make the cycle early, just stand by here and wait for it. And now this is where phase 3 comes in. This is probably the hardest phase to learn, but it's not the hardest to optimize. Again, just follow the path that I'm taking. Bash these spitters, but only start bashing them when the electric circle is approaching you, or like the laser circle. And then along the way, you can hit the projectiles if you need. See, I got hit. I almost died because of that, but I don't hit them because I don't have upgraded spin in my runs, so I just bash them like this. Again, only bash them when, like, you're about to get approached by the electricity. And then when you do, just approach this again. And then you just repeat it again. Except the cycle's a bit different this time, so don't let it throw you off. For this part, just walk off as long as you can. And I ledge grabbed by here, so I got hit. If you get hit here, that's fine. It just means that you'll be waiting longer at the end. And that's the good thing about killing the spitters, is that if you're not on cycle, like, they normally would be in the way, but because we're bashing them and killing them, like, they won't be in your way. So by here, I have nowhere to protect myself. So this is a good thing to demonstrate. If you're in this position, just keep jumping. Don't go too far off the edge either, because otherwise you can just slip off during the cutscene. But yeah, that's the end of the Neptune fight, and that's also the end of this run. I'm going to show an example of a near-perfect Neptune off of my PB actually, because it was very close to my gold, and it was pretty optimized, and I think is the best way to show it.
Alright, all hail Plankton. Dodge, SpongeBob, dodge! Command you to kill him! That's it, SpongeBob! You got him with that one! Dodge, SpongeBob, dodge! Kill SpongeBob! You're too righteous. Destroy SpongeBob! That's it, SpongeBob! You got him with that one! I command you to kill him!
The world record for this game is currently 1 hour, 31 minutes and 10 seconds by ChristopherFast222. Some of the strats we do are pretty ridiculous, but with these strats that I demonstrated, you can easily get like as low as maybe even like sub 135. But if you do like all of the alternative beginner strats that I showed, you can pretty easily get like sub 145. The more optimized this game gets, the more surprising it becomes like how low like down the rankings you can get. But yeah, this has been the SpongeBob SquarePants movie tutorial. Hope you've enjoyed, hope I've explained everything well. Some things I wasn't able to explain that well, so I apologize for that. It's just some things are really hard to explain, or they can't really be demonstrated properly. But again, if I didn't explain something well, for example, if you found that I didn't explain Dennis well, you can watch ChristopherFast's tutorial or Dr. CPL British's tutorial, because maybe they explain it better. The only difference is that they do easier / like outdated strats, and the route is completely outdated. So that's why this tutorial exists. Hopefully this will get people to learn the game. Make a comment if you have any questions. So hopefully this gets you interested, hopefully things are explained better, and hopefully you won't be in the dark when learning this game now.